Welcome to another edition of Banter and Babble. I am the Dude79, and joining me always, my esteemed colleague, Mr. Fanboytone. Mr. Fanboytone! What's up, dude?
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
Yeah? Good spirits today?
Yeah.
What do we got to talk about this really quick before we talk about everything else, because you kind of brought this in and you didn't realize the potency of this.
No.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're drinking first and foremost.
All right.
So this is go ahead, please.
This is from Victory Brewing, Sour Monkey, a sour tripel, like tripel, 9.5% in this little 12-ounce can.
Jesus Christ.
It is tart, and it's actually really fucking good.
You didn't look at the alcohol level.
Nope.
And it's 9.5%.
Hey, Brian. Hey, son.
I have not been feeling too great today, so I haven't eaten much, so this should go over well. This should totally not be a total shit show.
He's gonna shit his fucking pants.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hot mess tonight, but it's very tasty. It's a sour tripel, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. It's something new, but it's very tasty. And yeah, I'm gonna get white girl wasted cuddles. You're absolutely right. Brian MX, what's going on? My two alcoholic dads.
He's a good son, though.
He is a great son. He's a great son. That packs a punch. It sure does, Forge. It's gonna be a hot mess towards the end of the evening. The Loki segment might be a total disaster. If we even make it to it. The way my innards are working, I might just shit my pants and we might have to call the show early.
Actually,
who knows?
Well, it's not really moving.
Buried Alive walked in at the right time as I'm talking about shitting my pants.
Right, that's embarrassing.
Sweet, Buried Alive. Welcome back. Good to see you. I always put my business out there and I realize, we're in the circle of trust. We're comfy. There's a couple people in the chat that know how I am, but then there's other people that pop in there like, oh wow, cool, they're talking about Battlefield and Loki, and then there's this fat guy talking about, can't wait to shit my pants.
Can't wait to shit my pants.
Gonna be really hot, dude. It's gonna be a good time.
Oh yeah, Prime. He'll be crying a lot. There'll be a lot of that.
It's gonna be it's gonna turn into a disaster, but the good kind of disaster, the type of disaster that we prefer to have. But all right, so we've got the drinks out of the way. Tone, what's going on with you?
He brought up the gummy bears again.
Tricky, dude. Tricky.
He's already said
no
something.
Joke, dude. The way, I have just this pain in my stomach right now, and I don't know if it's just something. I didn't eat much today, so I don't know what's going on. But I honestly told Tone, if my stomach is still bothering me by the time the show ends, I'm going over to Walmart and I'm going to get a bag of sugar-free gummies. Because if there's one thing I know that will destroy what's ever going on with me, it's going to be sugar-free gummies. Dude, that's the one thing, Prime. I've been drinking a ridiculous amount of water today. I didn't go outside much, which is a good point because it is hot as fuck out. Today was probably the most miserable day in Saginaw.
The humidity was high too, right?
The humidity was through the fucking roof. The humidity was unbearable. You opened the door and you walked outside and it was a wall of just thick humidity.
Come on, Crash.
All right, Crash. Have a good one, buddy. Appreciate you stopping by.
He said you want to be here for the Loki. We need your knowledge for some of that Loki.
Oh, yeah. We'll be on Loki later at the end of the show. Like I said, and if you have not seen Loki, at the end of the show is what we're going to talk about. We'll talk a little bit in depth about it, but in my opinion, I don't think there was too many spoilers in this episode. There's not a whole lot of groundbreaking stuff. It's really just kind of setting up, to kind of keep people wondering where are they going to go with this show. But there is a good conversation to be had there. So if you have not seen Loki, we'll be talking about at the end of the show. If you have seen it, stick around. We want to get your thoughts because I feel like this is going to be one of those shows, and you talked about before we got one live, it's going to be one of those shows that, like WandaVision, it's probably going to be some folks going, what the fuck? Why is this slow developing?
Yeah,
why does this have to be thinking stuff? Where are the explosions?
Right.
Relax, okay? We've seen in the trailers, things are going to blow up. Loki's going to whoop ass. It'll be really interesting, but we have a good conversation regarding Loki for later in the show. But Tone, what have you been playing?
Nothing.
No.
Why haven't
what
played
have
in
you been
days?
playing? Well, what were you playing before you just sidelined it for a while? Let's talk about that. Let's talk. You know what? Let's talk about Marvel's Avengers.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
So if you want to go check out my tweets, everybody, you can see what I said about it earlier.
He's most displeased.
All right, so everybody know I've been on that Marvel pretty heavily. Really excited about the raid later. Here's the thing about Marvel. It's a fun fucking game to play, gameplay-wise. It's really enjoyable. And it's Marvel, just like Star Wars. There's certain things I just gravitate to, right? They've done a good job, with a lot of the things that has created like this kind of framework for Marvel's Avengers that you would think has evolved and gotten better, and they've updated it, and there's more either quality of life, which there's a lot of good quality of life, but at the very least made endgame worthwhile. And we were talking about the champion points and things like that, which is good for a grind. You know, a lot of games like that endgame get really grindy, and that's kind of how that works, and that's fine, whatever. However, some of the grind has gotten a little silly. This last weekend, I was working on the weekly hive grind, which to get more exotics, and it's about the only way in this game you can get exotics. You have to do 80 levels, so it's 8 5-layered dungeons, basically, for all intents and purposes. You can do them only solo. You can't do them multiplayer. But if you have more than one character that's level 140, 150, if that first one dies, you can have the second one pick it up. However, if the second one is the one that, of course, sees through the end, or the end, that last level, they're going to get the exotics for that character. So if you're working on Hulk,
which is not the character that you want the exotic for.
Right. Or that sort of thing. I did that this weekend, and on Stream Live, I believe it was Friday or Saturday, I got to the 37th level. I had no problems, by the way, getting through these levels, because when you use Hulk as a glass cannon, that's how I play him. You can also regen your health. It wasn't a problem. 37th level, died live on stream, and I'm like, well, that fucking sucks. I also didn't realize until that death that if you didn't have another character, you didn't get another checkpoint. You don't get any checkpoints. You have to start from scratch. There's Doggity Dad. Doggity was around for some of this.
It's the world's smallest violin playing a sad, sad song.
Doggity was around for some of this as well, too, and he was actually talking me through some of this, too. He's like, oh, yeah, this, and this. I'm like, motherfuck. So I was like, okay, this sucks. It is what it is. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll try again. Well, Sunday, I was just like, it's hot as balls out. I don't have anything to do.
Might as well play video games.
So I decided to try it again. Got to the 35th level. Died again.
Oh, no.
So I had invested a lot of time this last weekend.
Did you stream that meltdown or no?
No.
Oh, but
I just I looked at the TV with somber disdain and just blank, probably pan-faced, just completely like, are you like, what the fuck? So it prompted me at this point. That was clear disappointment, because again, a lot of time you put into I did it again. A lot of people don't know this, Doggity. There's quite a Twitter thread about it as well, too. I dove into the subreddit right after. I dove into what people were doing, talking about the game, people that hadn't stopped playing the game. It was pretty revealing. One word that I saw consistently with people that have not stopped playing it and still playing it because of whatever reason is bored. Bored and boredom. There's nothing to do. You can't craft exotics, which you need if you want to level your character up or get stronger. You can't change. You don't know. It's all RNG, so you could get an exotic that you might not want, so you can't re-roll it. You have no other way to grind for this stuff.
That's what's nuts.
You have no other way, and you have to do this solo right now for these. There isn't a lot of options to do things in this game. However, that's fine if it's content that you're working for and there's forward momentum. So if you're doing all these dailies, you would think if you continue, like if you did your dailies for 6 months, maybe you'll get an exotic. That's something to work for. That makes sense. But in the vein of these hives, that they come up every week. You can complete it once a week. Yep. If you're somebody that's got 4 characters at level 140, you might be able to do these weekly and have no problems. I don't have that time to grind out other characters at that high level, because now they also changed it so after you get to past level 25 now, it's a harder grind.
Yeah.
So they really are working against you. But basically the game doesn't have a lot of content. The drawn for me, again, is the gameplay. I love playing the fucking game.
Yep.
So if there's a hard, long grind, I'm willing to do that if there is viable reward at the end.
Yeah,
I understand that
carrot on the end of the stick.
And anything from an MMO or a live service, it makes sense. The problem is that they're not doing content enough. They're not making anybody, or making it easy for a somewhat casual player to even enjoy the game. And really, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people. I was kind of trying to build for the Wakanda raid, trying to get Tricky to play, trying to get you to play, because I've been having fun at the game again. However,
I'm not getting on that shit now.
Well, no, absolutely not. I wouldn't. At this point, I'm like, no. I mean, I haven't played it in 4 days, and it's just really frustrating. So I did a big Twitter thread about it to Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix, and when I'm realizing all this stuff, I kept diving into the subreddit and realized I was not alone. Matter of fact, people have been saying this shit for months and months and months and months, and people think that Wakanda might change it. Not gonna change it.
Bomb Shelter just said, "Is there a roadmap for the future?" Good morning, Miss Cannon. How's it going? Just Canadians in the chat. A6P Snug. What's going on? No, it's everyone talks about Wakanda, and it has to be a transformative experience. It has to be its version of the Taken King or Forsaken. It needs something. You can't just drop a raid and not have any new mechanics, or you can't address the community's concerns. Like an expansion like this has to have some kind of transformative changes to it, especially this early in the cycle. The game is still relatively new, but you need to have big-time changes to keep the game fresh and to continue to move it forward and to appease the community. You have to have grindy is fine. You and I understand how these games work. There has to be a grind. But if you have exotics tied to one event that you have to do solo, that's weird. That's really weird.
And there's no other ways to get these exotics. Now, again, there's random rumors out there that people say they might drop on certain missions, or you can whatever. But I don't. But here's kind of the end of it for everybody. Is that, again, the game's really fun. I want to continue to play it. I love the gameplay of it. I would grind out all the other characters because it is fun when I got time. But they're not even letting me progress with my main character in a fun way. So why am I going to try and grind out these other characters on a I mean, I might, I don't know, but at the end of the day, you said something right before we went live that really stuck with me about it, is that how you gonna fuck up a Marvel franchise? Dude, Crystal Dynamics is definitely fucking it up.
And we talked about Paul Tassi's article that he put up the other day where he's running out of patience for this game and Outriders, and he talks about how he can't see how this game will stay relevant after the Wakanda raid if there isn't some kind of massive transformation for this game. If there isn't some kind of major update, there has to be a shit ton of content, there has to be quality of life changes, and these games should never be the same 6 months to a year later. They can't be the same that they were at launch, because that tells you that the developer hasn't learned anything, either that or they're not listening. And what we talked about for the show was, if you fuck this up, okay, we look at Bungie, and I know we got our Destiny naysayers, but the fact of the matter is, Destiny is still going strong, and it's still going. It's alive and well. Division, I think, is dead. Anthem is really dead.
Literally,
you look at these other games.
Outrider, I think, was DOA.
Outrider is in a weird spot right now because the developer just said they are going to start adding content to it. So are they going to treat it like a live service? We don't know. But now you've got Avengers, dude. If Crystal Dynamics fucks this up with the Avengers IP and that vault of goodness, this will be a catastrophic fail. Catastrophic. It's
mind-blowing that a group like Square Enix is publishing this game. And let's even mention it too. How are you going to come out with a game like fucking Outriders that is basically fucking Avengers? That's another live service game.
It's not. I feel like these developers all have a hard time admitting that their game is either an MMO or MMO based.
They don't want
it took Bungie fucking 4 years to finally be like, okay, fine.
They don't want any negative.
It's an FPS, but they've embraced it since then. They've said, look, it is an FPS MMO. No, just kidding. It's not dead on arrival, but it is in a weird spot right now. It's in a really weird spot, and until the developer really kind of breaks down the roadmap of what we can expect, it's also not doing super great. A lot of people beating this game and moved on. Well, yes, there's some grindy elements to it, and I get that.
However, what do you play it on, Just Canadian? Honestly, that's an honest question. People that are going to say it's not DOA, I'm going to guess you're probably playing. Oh, you're playing on PC? I'm really surprised to see that. Most people that would say that and defend it are good. I have it for free on Game Pass.
Which is appealing. I mean, and that's
and I get it.
That's where I played it. That's right. I'm not buying the fucking game.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to complain a whole lot.
And
if the game's
it's hard
free
to buy a game like that when they're literally like, well, we don't have any plans for content going forward right now. It's like, okay, well, I'm definitely not going to buy this fucking game. But now that they're like, well, we got content coming. Okay, really, that's awesome. That's cool. But I want a fucking detailed roadmap. I want to see a lot of shit coming to that game. I mean, my friend bought it for me, but I really love loot and scoots. I get it.
Same. Yeah, trust me. Me too.
Look at that. Look at Prime just said. This past Tuesday, Avengers had 0 people playing on Steam. 0.
Yeah, well, I can tell you as somebody who queues up with people that I've seen at least in the last few weeks, 2 or 3 of the same people at random different times playing. So, yeah, there's probably like 10 of us playing. End of the day, they got to get it fixed. They got to figure it out. Square Enix, what you should have done, instead of allowing some other developer to put out another looter shooter Outriders, maybe you should have said, hey, go help Crystal Dynamics put out some more.
Dude, Marvel's Avengers,
shit.
look, I get it. People like Outriders. I'm not hating anybody that likes it, but Marvel's Avengers has infinite more potential than Outriders.
It's already got
Marvel's Avengers
material.
has so much, like you said, a vault worth of material.
80 years of material.
They've mastered the gameplay, but man, they don't have shit for content. There's not enough to do there to justify that grind. And if you're asking me to play 40 fucking levels of a Hive solo just to get an exotic piece, no.
And if you die, you got to start over.
Yeah, there's no checkpoint. I mean, it's absolutely. And Bomb Shelter, I agree. Marvel over Outriders hands down. It's when it's worth it, and if
right, Blanco,
they're able to morph the game as like I said, man, these fucking live service games, they cannot be the same 6 months to a year later. They can't be the same. They really can't. They have to change. They have to evolve. They have to have quality of life features. They have to give stuff that's going to appease the community, not make it super easy. But this thing, it cannot stay the same. And unless they start detailing stuff at E3, which they need to do at E3, they're going to be like, hey, look, yes, Wakanda is coming. Yes, there's a raid, but here's what else is going to be there. There has to be more shit. They need to look at how the exotics are dropping. They need to look at how the loot gets put out there. They need to reevaluate that. Destiny changes every fucking season, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but they're constantly changing. I haven't heard anything. I mean, we've seen some changes in Marvel's Avengers. You've shown me some of the stuff.
There's some great quality of life on the UI.
In terms of like the content and the way that loot is being handled, it sounds like it's kind of a shit show right now.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, two things. One, the E3 thing about it, I'm going to take a gander out there and say either they're not going to say anything about it,
ooh,
or it's such a small fucking blurb, it's almost irrelevant. And the last thing I'm going to say of the two is, hey, if I'm saying something and days later Paul Tassie's saying the same thing, I can't be far off that mark.
Now, Paul Tassi does not get into the specifics that you said, but he did say his patience is running out with both Outriders and Marvel's Avengers.
I'm just saying if Paul Tassie's saying it out loud.
And you got the whole Reddit community is saying the same thing.
Bored.
They really need to. And Electric Band says EA dropped the ball big time with Anthem. Look, Anthem was a major fuck up on BioWare and EA's behalf. Major fuck up. If Marvel's Avengers fails, that's catastrophic. That's worse than anything. Fuck BioWare, fuck EA. If you fuck up Avengers, you fucking suck. You fucking suck, and that is a historic fail.
Yeah, Bob
historic fail. So hopefully they're able to really kind of get things right, but man, right now the general opinion and the general consensus and the general feelings of everybody that's invested in this game is that this is not good. This is in a tough spot right now. And Square demand results. And if Marvel's Avengers isn't taking off, Square will quickly be like, we're done. Content-wise, yeah, we'll leave it up for you. But we're done, dude. And nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. In terms of what is that? I mean, you haven't been playing shit because you stopped playing that because it's trash.
I haven't been playing any fun games.
I hopefully will have Resident Evil 8 beat by the next show. I'm at the very last section. That game is fucking awesome. Resident Evil Village is really fucking good, you guys.
Watch Anthouse play some of that. I'm pretty impressed.
It is really, really, really good. Some of the bosses have been really good. Lady Dimitrescu was really good. Some of the other bosses are a little bit meh. But, if they can stick this landing, if the final boss battle against Miranda is infinitely better than what we got in Resident Evil 7, this might be my favorite Resident Evil game. It's that good.
Damn. All
it's that good. It's just a great game, a really enticing story. It's pretty dope. Doggedy, we will be talking about Ratchet and Clank a little bit later tonight. We're really excited to talk about that. Really excited to play it. But, Tone, we also played a game this weekend for a B&B Plays.
Yeah, we did. Friday night. Good time.
We jumped into Operation Tango, and we streamed it, and it was pretty fun until you had an absolute mental breakdown and went nuts on the stream, which further proof to show that you should never drink heavily when playing a thinking game.
Absolutely not. We usually do B&B plays about an hour and a half, 2 hours anyways, and we hit about the hour and a half mark, and I think my patience was
you had a long day, you were boozing it up, so it's one of those games, and it's not only a thinking game, but it's a quick thinking game. You have to be snappy with your response. You have to be snappy with your communication. And the point that we hit, though, I will say this much. The difficulty spike that we hit with mission number 4.
Was it 4? Yeah.
Yeah, mission 4 was through the roof compared to everything else we had done. Previously, there was some of the stuff was challenging, and it took us a couple times to figure it out. But once we got to mission 4, that thing was a ball buster. It was really tough how much shit they were throwing at you. It was really, really difficult. But stepping back from that and being able to gather ourselves the next day, we both agree this is a really fun cooperative game.
It's fucking like, what was that fucking free game we got in PlayStation Plus that I ended up buying? Like the mission. It was like the first person with the puzzles. Not Talos Project, but similar to that kind of thing. The mission or
no.
What is that called? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They had that cool color palette. Man, what is that called? Anyways, it's like, think of like a game like Myst or Talos Project or something where you're first person, very puzzly. Even though this isn't always in first person from like some of the perspectives, but I guess it kind of mostly is. This game is brilliantly fucking built. Like we played most of the way through It Takes Two, and I know we need to probably go back and finish that. I really want to finish that, which was very intuitive on just the fun co-op, adventure-y, platformy gameplay. This game on a cerebral level is next level. Like I've played games like this in solo and had a good time or whatever puzzles. This is, of course, difficult because you're doing it with two people and you got to be really good at communication.
And different from It Takes Two and the one what's the other one, the Jailbreak one that we did a little bit of from the same people that made It Takes Two.
A Way Out.
A Way Out. The thing that's different about this one is you cannot see what your partner's doing.
That's the big piece of it.
That's the big piece of it. Like with those two games, you get split screen and you can kind of see what one another's doing and you can communicate by visual. But this one, you do not get a split screen and you have to use a mic to communicate. And that shit gets fucking difficult because, again, when you go back to how these levels play out, they start off a little bit slow, but then there's timers that get brought in, like sequences that require you to get stuff done in a certain amount of time. And shit is changing constantly, and I might be in a first-person mode trying to make my way through a facility, and Tone is on, like, a fucking camera, and he's looking at stuff, and he's reading, like, manuals in front of him going, okay, if you have to hit this, press this button, then you have to do this. And I don't get to read what he's doing. He has to explain everything to me and vice versa. And it is insanely fun, but extremely challenging. You have to communicate with the person you're playing with. You have to know what the fuck you're talking about, and you have to do it in a quick set amount of time.
Yeah, and like I'll be very honest with you, and I mean no disrespect to anybody, but I don't think this is a game for everybody.
No.
Certainly, if you don't have much patience, I can have patience in the right setting. I had to really control myself.
Yeah.
And of course, I lost it after about an hour and a half of. I was like,
okay, we're gonna cut it right here. We're cutting it right here.
I'm done with this. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like done. Like, it ruined my drinking time. I was ready to go to bed. I was so pissed. But
Jay Hill says shapes were hard to describe. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, it wasn't just like, hey, that's a triangle. It was like a circle with like 3 mini triangles either facing.
Yeah, crazy shit.
You had to get really in depth.
Yeah.
This is a game. I thought you guys lost a bet. No, man, it's available now on PlayStation for PlayStation Plus. If you don't have it there, it's $19.99 on Steam and on PlayStation if you don't have Plus. And what's cool about it's like It Takes Two and A Way Out. If you do buy the game, you can send a friend pass to a friend and they can download the client without having to pay for it because it is 100% dependent on co-op. You have to play it cooperatively.
It's very like I like thinking games, so like I appreciate this a lot for what it is. But the uniqueness of it, like not being able to see the other person's screen, really having to communicate, really needing to be on your shit because, like you said, the difficulty all of a sudden changes real fast on you. It's fun. It's fucking just completely intuitive though. It's really kind of like don't think like next gen level of game, but it's just a next level of gaming,
like the way of thinking. It's like a next level way of thinking.
Yeah, and that's refreshing when you come across something like that. So, kudos to them for what's the Clever game?
Clever Plays.
Very, very like I want this to succeed. I want everybody to check it out, but again, not everybody's going to be able to enjoy it because it's something else.
Despite the spike in difficulty, I think the only other issue I have with the game is it doesn't really explain things very well when you have to like do certain things. It doesn't tell you, hey, look, this is your objective here. Here's how you can kind of figure out, here's what you have to do. I mean, it really just kind of, no hand-holding, just throws you into the situation, and you literally have to like think and work and talk and really, make your way through the level. It's very challenging, but it's a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah, and it's literally two different perspectives. Like, It's no joke. Like, when I was watching replays in the clip.
Yeah, you were watching the clip.
Yeah,
you're like, whoa, that was way different.
You were playing the clip. I'm like, whoa, I forgot you were in first person on a train and like you were seeing it going down tracks where I'm like on a pad looking at like a fucking map of the train going, okay, you got to go here. Like, that's really fucking cool. Like, it felt like something like Ocean's 11 or something like that. Like, some guy's sitting over here in a fucking van trying to hand out candy to people and get them in the back of it, and you're sitting here, trying to.
Tricky says, I made the comment on stream that about it being one of those games where the FBI comes to your house if you beat the game.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
how the fuck did you figure this out, bro?
Yeah. And, you're probably right.
Yeah, it's challenging, but it's fun, and it's definitely worth a look. Again, PlayStation Plus, available for Plus owners, $19.99. It's definitely worth a look. If you want to check it out, it's over on our YouTube channel at Banter and Babble. It's right there. B&B Plays, the most recent video. Check it out. It was it's one of those games where I do wish we could have had both videos, both streams. I wish we could do co-streaming on Twitch, but you can't do it unless you're a partner, which is why we need you guys and girls to help us get to 75 concurrent views. So that way we can be partner. We can do co-streams. Cool like that. Really cool like that. All right. So we've discussed what we've been playing. We talked about our drinks. Don't think I didn't forget. We're doing a giveaway tonight, y'all.
I forgot.
We are doing a giveaway starting right now. $20 gift card of your choice, whether it's PSN, Xbox Live, or eShop. U.S. only. I mean, if you can enter to win, but if you want a PSN card, you have to be U.S. only. I can send you
to Is it North America?
North America.
So if you're Canadian,
you should qualify. You will qualify. But anyone else, if you're over in Europe watching this, and you're like, hey, I want to put in for a PSN card. Cool. You're going to get a North America one. You won't be able to use it.
Well, Xbox
is good. eShop is good. Those are all, I believe those are worldwide. There's no like region restrictions on it. So we're going to start that giveaway right now. ! Enter to enter the contest. And you have to be here and to claim it if you win, which is ! Claim. So in 1 hour, we will draw a winner. Yeah, if Prime's in, he'll just fucking win per usual, which is always awesome. So, yes, we just appreciate you guys. We love doing these sort of things, little giveaways to show our respect or show our appreciation for. I'm going to give Cuddles any respect, but I will show our appreciation to him and everybody else that tunes in every week that's here to hang out and talk about this stuff. We really appreciate your support. So it's just our way of giving back to you, those that hang out with you and waste your 2 hours of your life watching us just bullshit about whatever.
And poop his pants.
I feel like I'm a little hot right now.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh, you blew me. All right, we're going to move into our first topic. We got a couple of movie reviews. Let's talk about Spiral.
All right.
From the Book of Saw. Available now on digital. I think you can go see it in theaters. Wouldn't recommend it.
Wouldn't recommend paying for it.
Only a real scumbag wouldn't pay for it. But this is from director Darren Lynn Bousman, who is familiar with the Saw franchise. He directed Saw 2, 3, and 4. So he's got some experience with the Saw franchise. And it's starring Chris Rock, Max Minghella, Marisol Nichols, and the great Samuel L. Jackson.
Had no idea about that, by the way.
He was in the first trailer that came out, man.
I don't know. I drink a lot.
I get that. So anyways, Brian, yeah, Spiral from the Book of Z. Can't say I disagree with you. But no, this is I don't want to say it's a reimagining. It's a sequel of sorts. It's a spin-off. Yeah, maybe a reboot. Yeah, Tone, I'm going to come to you first because we have an interesting perspective on this movie and the other movie. It's going to be kind of a neat conversation. But Tone, your thoughts. You're first and foremost.
Yes,
you're a Saw guy.
I like the Saw movies.
You enjoy all the Saw movies. You are a Saw fan.
Right. I'm probably not a Saw connoisseur. Like I know I've got
Zach Dynamite is a huge. He talked to me on Twitter the other day. He's a huge Saw guy.
Is he? So because I was gonna say there are people out there that are like super connoisseurs and super fans of the series. I enjoy them. I think they're fun. And it's not news to anybody here, but I love gore.
Yep.
And like seeing people's like getting mutilated and shit like that.
Gets off on it.
Kind of gets off on it. Yeah. So it is what it is, right? Like that's kind of one of my things. Big whoop, fight about it. But honestly, I was really excited about it because again, here we got another comedian, well-known comedian doing stand-up, doing some serious shit, and I'm like, we've seen some great transitions. I'm always hip to that. And I thought for the most part, besides you made some good points about his constant demeanor a couple times, even though the movie was overall kind of real meh, I felt like I want to see Chris Rock in a role where he's actually able to be with a good story and good dialogue.
My understanding is, and I haven't seen it, but he had a a lot of high praise for his performance in the Fargo series. He was in Fargo, and I guess he got a lot of acclaim for his performance there.
The movie?
No, the TV series.
Did I not see that episode, that series?
I don't know if it was the most recent one or whatnot, but he's been on there, and he got a lot of acclaim for it.
I saw a couple seasons of that. I wonder if I'm missing a season with him in it. That's great to hear, because the Fargo series, like of the seasons I've seen, are really fucking really good. The movie takes place in the Saw universe. Clearly, Jigsaw has been gone. Somebody decides to pick up the mantle. Who's doing it? Why is he doing it? Listen, overall, I told dude the first 20 minutes, I already figured out who the killer was. It wasn't overall a big secret, I felt like, because the movie was really predictable. It was a letdown, a lot of points. He's going to bring up a lot of the actual points with his notes and stuff like that. There's a lot of things I do agree with him on. I will say this at the end of the day, though. As predictable as it was, the gore, the puzzles and everything like that, not puzzles, I guess, really, but whatever was going on were awesome. I really enjoyed them. Matter of fact, Prime Didact or Atomic King Cuddles, any of you guys that have watched Letterkenny will know that the first gentleman you see in the movie is none other than fucking McMurray, that piece of shit McMurray, which I thought was completely funny just to even randomly see him in a serious role.
He gets pieced out in a pretty cool way.
Yeah, that was awesome. I didn't hate the movie. Like, it was enjoyable in a weird way that I'm just like, I guess it was just because it was a Saw movie.
Sure.
It was not. Listen, I'm not going to tell anybody to watch it. I'm not going to tell you definitely spend money on it. I'm not going to tell you to expect anything out of it. I just know that if you like the Saw movies, you might get some enjoyment out of it. I got enjoyment out of it. I was actually, for some fucking reason, I was very, like, involved in the movie. Like, it kept me and I was hooked. It just overall was a meh movie, and I can recognize the fact that the movie wasn't great at all, but I still found some enjoyment in it, and I like that universe. But it's just a disappointment because the characters and the story, like even the dialogue was just not good, and even some of the just the head scratching, like, why would you fucking, why would you do that? Doesn't make any sense. Is what it is. So.
There's a lot of lapses of in this movie. There's a lot of issues I have with this movie. I am not a Saw guy. I've seen Saw 1, and I actually really liked Saw 1. And then I saw Saw 2, and I was like, I don't think I like this anymore. Because I thought Saw 2 was like really just kind of like shit. It didn't have the smarts of the first one. The first one had like a real clever twist. It was like, holy shit, that's awesome. But then after the second one, I was like, okay, I can see where this series is headed now. I get it, and that's cool. Gore porn is awesome. That's great. People love watching people get maimed and mutilated. That's hot.
Hellraiser.
I get it. Okay, I get it. But much like Mortal Kombat, when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, ooh, this looks fucking good.
The trailer really gets you kind of hyped for it.
This looks really good. I was like, man, this could be a good idea. I know my understanding is that Chris Rock had a hand in pitching this movie, and I was like, man, this could be really fucking good. The trailer's fucking dope. And you go into this movie, and it's just a goofy fucking flick with a weird story, poor direction, and just overall execution. Tone mentioned the predictability of it. There's a moment in the movie where we won't get... I don't give a fuck if it's spoilers, but I just won't do it, where something doesn't happen that happens with every other encounter, and immediately you know that's the bad guy or girl. Okay? That's the killer. And I didn't even when it happened at the end, dude, this movie does as much as it can. It works so hard to try to get you to think, who done it?
It really does try hard.
Is it this person?
It really does.
It might be this person.
Right.
But at that one point in the movie where something happens, you're just like, there's the killer. I know who it is.
Which is a shame because in the serious
so
parts, like even like the cop and the guy at the door and all that how that all set up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the like the dirty cop thing that was going on in some of those areas and some of that background story and some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that stuff was really good and intriguing. Like, it felt like they were good pieces to the puzzle, no pun intended. But overall, the entire puzzle was still missing pieces. It just didn't work overall.
Yeah, and you know, for somebody that appreciates the first Saw, like, I really enjoyed it. I was like, man, hopefully there's a good twist with this. Hopefully there's a good twist, and it's a smart twist. Had they not fucked it up early on in the movie, we're like, oh, I know who it is. I know who it is. Yeah, it's easy to figure out. And every time they tried showing you somebody else or making you think, I was like, get the fuck out of here. I know who it is, and it was. And then, you know, in terms of like the head-scratching moments, there is a point in this movie where I was just like, okay, now they're just trying to connect the dots and make this ending work. And there's a part where I don't give a fuck if it's a spoiler. It's the dumbest thing in this movie. The captain of this police force goes down into the basement, to the cold case room to find some files to kind of piece together what's going on. The captain, she's armed. She has a gun, okay? And she's getting set up in a trap. And she goes into the cold case room. Nobody else is in there. But when she walks in, there's the killer with the pig mask standing right there. The captain, who has a gun, turns around, runs to the door screaming help. The door shuts. She pulls out her gun, shoots the big-ass metal door. You are a fucking cop. You have a gun. There's the killer. Why doesn't she just pull out the gun and say freeze? And when he tries to do something, throw his smoke grenades, she just loads them, just shoots them. You know why? Because that would be credits. We got to make this fucking ending work. That was the single dumbest fucking moment of this movie.
I didn't even think about that.
Dude, the reaction was like, what is she, a fucking civilian? What is she got, a BB gun?
Yeah.
I was like, come on, dude. You could have set this up way different to make her more vulnerable, not walk in there and run away from the dude in the pig mask. She has a gun. Like, come on, dude. That was that. At that point, I was like, okay, this movie sucks. This movie sucks. And then they get to the ending, and it's lame. Sam Jackson's in this movie for about 5-6 scenes. His character's underdeveloped. His relationship with Chris Rock is weak as fuck. He's his father, for Christ's sakes, and there's no development there, other than to make him a possible suspect. Is it Sam Jackson? He's there to say motherfucker, and he does it well. No, I'm going to give Sam Jackson the credit where credit is due. He says motherfucker, and he says it like a champ.
Remember, he said years ago he'll pretty much do anything for a check.
And this was proof.
Yeah.
This was proof. And then in terms of like Chris Rock, I like Chris Rock. You know, we've seen he's got talent to get outside of like stand-up comedy and doing comedies. He's a talented actor. But this movie, I'm going to go blame the direction because the direction seems to be the problem here. But basically all you get are two emotions out of Chris Rock. Screaming at the top of his lungs and this. Squinty, skeptical eyes.
Yeah. And half time he couldn't see, he had the glasses on.
He's squinty. You know, he's unsure. I was like, okay, this is so bad. Like, he's completely wasted in this movie. And I'm going to go back to the director, Darren Lynn Bousman. I'm going to say this is the problem. They're trying to make a smart Saw movie. They're trying to reboot it. They're trying to make it something different than the original Saw movies, which was all about the gore porn. It was all about the gore. And I will say the gore, some of the kills that I've seen on, you know, like highlights, I go through YouTube and I'll be, hey, or my brother, hey, what's the best kill? And he'll show me a clip of like one of the best kills in the other Saw movies. None of the kills in this movie even come close to the shit that I've seen in the other Saw movies. They're gross, okay? They're violent, they're horrific, but at the same time, you're just like, this is just meh. So you don't have like the amazing kills. You don't have a fucking twist. And you got this movie, and I told Tone, this is like the movie 7 if it sucked. That's what this is. It's the movie 7 if it sucked. It tries to be smart, it tries to be twisty, and it fucking fails on all fronts. It's a bad movie. It's not a good movie.
Is that a pun? Twisty?
Yeah, it was disappointing. It was disappointing as fuck. And based on what we saw from the trailer, it was a major letdown. It was a major letdown. And this is one of the movies I had little interest in the Saw movies going in. And this movie doesn't change my interest in the movies. I will not. I mean, hopefully they're able to do something with a sequel. It's set up for that, obviously. But I don't know, dude. Like, I just feel like this is one of those franchises, much like the next one we're going to talk about, I feel like time to move on.
Yeah, overall.
And not to cut you off.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, I talked to Zach Dynamite on Twitter today. As a fan of the Saw movies, he fucking loved it. He loved it. And that's who these people are. Those are the folks that these movies are geared towards. And I don't have an issue with anybody who liked this movie, especially if you're a fan of Saw. Awesome. Just a different mindset. And it's kind of like how we're going to talk about The Conjuring here in a minute. Tone's a Saw guy. He enjoyed the movie for what it was. It is what it is.
I can still recognize it sucked.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong.
Me, it
wasn't great. Yeah.
When I look at the original Saw and then I compare it to this one, this movie sucks. It sucks. It's just, I couldn't get into it at all. I thought this was just terribly weak, and there were just so many scenes where I was like, what the fuck are these people doing?
Yeah, if you're a Saw fan of the series, watch it. You might enjoy it.
Brian says, if you're a fan of Saw, then you're a part of the problem.
Come on.
It's on you, Tone. If you enjoyed this movie, that's on you.
At least it was trying to live within its universe properly. Mortal Kombat didn't even do that.
Electric says, kind of like Mortal Kombat, it's enjoyable trash, but it's still trash. I didn't think this was enjoyable. I thought this was trash.
Mortal Kombat's enjoyable. It's tough.
Don't get him started, Panther. Don't get him started. Don't get him started. But overall, I mean, I thought it was weak. I know you enjoyed it for what it was.
Yes, I didn't hate it.
We'll be really curious to get you guys and girls' thoughts. I wouldn't pay money to. I wouldn't pay for like the high price right now to rent it. But if you can catch it on Netflix or something like that down the road, I would really be curious.
It'll
to
be
get
on
you guys
Game Pass in a couple
thoughts.
months probably or something.
I can get behind Tone being the problem. Yeah, he is the absolute problem. Absolutely. But if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to on iTunes or SoundCloud or Spotify, make sure you let us know what you think. We want to get your thoughts. Comment in the comments below. Let us know. Use the Anchor app on your phone, on whether it's Android or iPhone, and leave us a voice message. We want to get your thoughts on it. But I thought this was weak as fuck. It was disappointing. Major disappointment. Moving on to the next movie of the evening that we'll be discussing. This is the third entry in the Conjuring series, and I don't know if it's like the 6th or 7th entry in the Conjuring universe.
In the universe.
But we're going to talk about The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Now, reverse roles. No, actually, this is a little bit different. I really, really liked Conjuring 1, and I thought Conjuring 2 was decent. Tone hasn't seen any of them. So he went into this expecting, blind basically, but that's okay because these are basically self-contained stories. They're the stories of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And Tone, I'm going to lean back to you again. I want to get your thoughts on this movie, which are going to be, it's going to sound like a broken record, but just reverse roles here.
Yeah, I really couldn't enjoy myself finishing it. I finished the movie. I
appreciate that. Appreciate you finishing it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You made it sound like it was a fucking task. It wasn't that bad. For Christ's sakes, continue.
It was close.
Continue.
Listen. Here's my thing, and this isn't new either. And this kind of comes also with the Saw thing. I clearly like gore. I like certain horror. Like a lot. There's a lot of horror films that I don't care about haunted fucking house scaries because I don't believe in fucking ghosts and all that shit. So that doesn't get me freaked out. I'm not jump scary. I like psychological, gory fucking like things, and I'm more in tune to like a psycho killer doing mutilations than I am to a
Jesus, you
ghost.
sound fucking weird, bro.
Do I?
I get off on it.
I mean, I don't get off on it, but I kind of get off on it. That's none of your business, so it's personal.
Sorry.
But yeah, I don't know. Like so anything that would be like exorcisms or again haunted house, things like that, I just don't give a shit about. It doesn't freak me out. I grew up in the fucking woods, man. The cemeteries were right down the fucking road. That shit doesn't freak me out. But I get why people enjoy this. So I was still going into it, objectively, didn't know what I was going to be getting into, and was definitely like disappointed because I thought it was fucking lame as shit. Like it felt very, I don't want to say cliche, but there was definitely some cliches into it. I thought some of the twists on who was involved and some of the stuff like the sightseer or whatever the fuck she was,
the clairvoyant.
I thought that stuff was cool, but clairvoyance bullshit, not real. So like it was hard for me to buy into it anyways. So it was just hard for me to get into. So I know there's a lot of fans out there of the series, but again, it just didn't pull me in. I thought that the story was kind of weak. It was almost kind of a cop out, like how everything was happening to a degree. Like I feel like I would have enjoyed, and I'm gonna watch them eventually. I do want to watch the other Conjurings because I almost feel like this wasn't putting its best foot forward. Like maybe the other two I would enjoy more, even though they're in like the backgrounds or genres or things that they're dealing with that I really wouldn't care about normally anyways. I feel like I might. This just felt like fucking. Like somebody decided, you know what, we should do a third movie, and instead of doing this, let's do this, and that's kind of how it ended up, and it felt just very meh, pushed forward. There was a couple of scenes in there I liked. I do definitely agree with you that the makeup, artwork, CGI, whatever it is, the creatures or the things or the stuff that make look at people is fucking fantastic. That at the very least is worth my ticket and my admission to this because I did enjoy seeing those things. There were some great visuals in this, and I really enjoyed that shit. But as far as jump scares or getting into the movie, like I felt myself half time just rolling my eyes and looking at something else. Like it was just hard to keep me engaged. So, again, I do want to see the other ones. I know some of y'all like them, but this one felt really It's unfortunate this is the last one that I watched. But again, I'm real particular about my horror.
I will say this much, based on what you just said. This is probably the last one I would recommend people to getting into the franchise or even the entire universe. This is not one of the first ones I'd be like, hey, you want to get into this shit? Watch The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. The last one I'd point you in the direction.
Right.
This would not be the first recommendation. Much like Saw, they definitely tried to, I like Atomic, favorite line of the movie, if the court recognizes God every time they swear in witnesses, then they need to recognize the devil. Valid point. Valid point. I mean, if the Bible is your, hey man, you swore on that book. You know what? You swore to God that you're being honest. But then you're talking about, hey, I was possessed by the devil. And like, oh, that's bullshit. No, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
If that's bullshit, then why are we doing a fucking oath? Valid point. It's a valid point.
It's a very valid point.
It's a very valid. I mean, the devil's kind of a big dog in the Bible. He's kind of a main player, in there.
He's
the
the fallen one, the morning star.
That too. But yeah, this is not the first one I would recommend. Much like Saw, I feel like they were trying to deviate from the haunted house themes that were The Conjuring and Conjuring 2. Those were the main premises: a haunted house with the demon and whatnot. And it was just this is based on a true story. Somebody asked, I think it was Tricky. There was something in 1981. Arnie Johnson. It's like one of the first cases where somebody said I was possessed. I was possessed by a demon. And at the time that was like shocking. Oh my God, is that really what he's pleading? Not guilty by means of demonic possession. And so I mean, it is based on that. And Ed and Lorraine Warren were involved in that to some degree. But I'm sure obviously after that they take liberties with the story of what really happened, and
Sure.
they build around that. So to a degree, it's based on and there's a lot of scenes in the movie that are pretty accurate to what's going on, what went on in real life. But that's more of the court stuff and the claims and whatnot. But once you get into the other stuff, a lot of his stuff is kind of like
bullshit.
Hollywoodized. But to get back to this, it's an attempt to deviate from the haunted house stories. And while it doesn't really even it doesn't really reach the levels of the first one or even the second one, the lead performances here, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, are these people are very much invested in these characters, and they're very good. They have great chemistry, and their story is their bond is usually what it takes center stage in these movies, and it gets them through these situations. So, I thought they were really, really good. I do think occultism and cult stuff is very, very creepy. Obviously, you thought it was kind of goofy here, and I do agree. It was some of the moments were a little okay. This is kind of goofy, but I think cult stuff is scary as fuck. We talked about Hereditary. That movie is fucking terrifying and that's why I think Satanism is scary as well, because these are real people that believe in shit that is horrifying. They fully believe they can communicate with Satan and possess people and curse them. And I'm not going to sit there and say it's not true, but it's scary as fuck knowing that there are people out there that wake up every morning going, I'm going to fuck up somebody's
it's not.
life.
You're saying it's not about what they are believing or doing.
It's how it's presented.
It's because they believe enough into it that they're doing it and they're believing into it. That's creepy enough.
That's the part that's scary.
Yeah.
People like in Hereditary, all the people in that movie, all the cult people, they believe in it. This is what and that's scary as fuck. Atomic said, I want to see a movie with the Crooked Man. So do I. Crooked Man in Conjuring 2. Even though he was like one of the demons that was like, he almost looked like claymation. It was really interesting how they did him compared to you got the Nun and Annabelle and all that stuff. The Crooked Man was kind of like this claymation type of thing. It was really interesting, but no less creepy. But yeah, and I think the issue that I have with this movie, and I think a lot of people notice this too, the more they watch it, is James Wan directed Conjuring 1 and 2. He also directed a couple of the Insidious movies. James Wan is a very talented horror director. The guy just has an understanding of horror. He knows how to present it. He knows how to build tension. He knows how to scare the shit out of people. With the exception of a couple jump scares in this movie and a couple of the things that we talked about, how they whatever reason in these movies, the Conjuring and Insidious movies, the demons that they present on screen are fucking horrifying. The eyes, the face, the mouth. I mean, they're demonic as fuck, and they are really, really fucking terrifying. So that part of it was good, but for the most part, Michael Chavez, who directed, I think it was Curse of Ia Lorna, which takes place in the Conjuring universe, he's given the reins here, and I feel like without James Wan here, the direction suffers. Some of the way the movie's presented suffers, and that goes back on the direction. But at the end of the day, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are very passionate about these roles, and they're very good. And even though the things get goofy,
their acting's really good.
Their acting is really, really good. And they make it to the end of the movie, and they're very strong. It's a very emotional ending, much like these movies all have. All the Conjuring movies are horror movies, but they have this focus on family and love, and that's usually like the powering force that gets people through these situations.
Yeah, Sister Act J-Hill.
The Nun, is that with Whoopi Goldberg? Yeah, Sister Act 1 and 2, man. They made a sequel.
That was
Sister Act was actually kind of funny, the first
I
one.
fucking love Sister Act, actually.
It was really, really funny. But here's what I think about The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. It's a decent entry into the series. It's the weakest of the 3 movies, and at the end of the day, I feel like we've hit the point now where we can wrap this up. I feel like we can tie these things up. Now, whether or not they're going to do that, I have no idea, but I really enjoyed Patrick Wilson. I've really enjoyed Vera Farmiga, and I think they were really, really great in these roles, but I think it's time that we move on from The Conjuring. Yes, obviously, Ed and Lorraine Warren have tons of stories that they could pick from, but at this point, I feel like it's run its course. I feel like we have a good trilogy here, a decent trilogy, with the first one being fucking incredible. A lot of people have mentioned that in the chat. The first Conjuring is absolutely fucking awesome. It's an amazing movie. It's really, really good, and it's definitely worth checking out, but I would not recommend this as the first movie to check out to anybody that has not seen the other Conjuring movies. Absolutely not. There's no way I would do that. And I actually mentioned, I was like, you might want to watch the first 2, but I was like, you don't have to, because they're self-contained stories with a couple of like connected dots, mentions. It's actually cool in this one. There's a moment where Ed and Lorraine are at home, and they get flowers delivered, and she's like, oh, this is from the Perrin family, and that's the family from the first one. So, I mean, you got little bits and pieces here that connects them, but for the most part, these stories are pretty much self-contained, and they stand out on their own. But this is definitely the weakest of the Conjuring movies. Not horrible, but not great. I feel like it's a good spot for them to wrap things up and be done with the Conjuring series.
Definitely like the Spiral better, but I know we're flipped on that.
Man, your opinion sucks. Just so you know, like it's trash. You thought Spiral was better than this.
Yeah.
Anyways, you made a good point before we went live.
Why
this was an interesting piece. Why this is an interesting conversation, because of our position.
Yeah, we're totally flipped on these.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Saw guy. He sees things from a different perspective. I'm a Conjuring fan. I love the first 2 movies, and I see things from a different perspective. And it's all about how you, if you're invested in these stories and these characters and whatnot, even though there's like the characters in the Saw movies suck.
The characters.
What's that? He's not wrong. It's not about the characters.
Honestly, the early Saw ones, like the story why Jigsaw was doing things was good, was kind of compelling.
I actually felt like the motive behind the killer in this one was more compelling than what Jigsaw was doing in 2 or 1 and 2. I actually really liked the motive, like what they were trying. But again, it all comes down to execution. The motive behind the killer in this movie is interesting. It is interesting, not just focusing on certain folks, but an entire system. I thought that was interesting, considering the climate of today and things that are going on. There's some parallels there, but at the end of the day, I just felt like it was
executed terribly.
It was a horrible execution.
If you had a good director that would have done Spiral, I think we would have been hopefully in somewhat better place. But again, it is what it is. I mean, it's not like we're going to talk about Spiral tonight, and we'll probably never talk about it ever again. And
ever.
How often the Saw movies come up in conversation? Well, when you're sitting around with your Satanist cult friends and you're doing like, oh look, let's watch some gore and then kill people later or something cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's all about personal preference. And if you're into the Saw movies, that's awesome. If you're into the Conjuring movies, different type of horror, different type of audiences, man. Yeah. And that again, going back to like what Zach Dynamite said, I'm a fan of Saw. There's a reason they're making a Saw X. There is going to be a Saw 10. Rumor has it there's a spin-off series, streaming series or a TV series based on this. It doesn't matter if this movie was fucking trash or executed poorly. There's a legion of fucking fans out there that are eating this shit up, and they want to see it day and date. They want to see it day one, and that's why these movies exist.
Same thing I thought, Cuddles, because when you say Jason X and shit, which
it sucks when they go to space.
I like Jason X. I don't care.
Jason X is. I don't get the hate for that movie. I don't get that. I mean, I would say Jason Goes to Hell is much worse than fucking Jason X.
I can see that perspective.
I did not like Jason Goes to Hell was trash. Jason X was just fucking
the one where
awesome.
The doctor just takes a bite of the heart and is
yeah.
That actually almost made me sick as a kid.
Dude, they'll milk Saw for as long as they have to. They'll milk it because there's way more fans of Saw than there are fans of Conjuring. That's for sure.
I'll milk Prime for as long as I can.
I can't believe you just said that. That's probably a TOS, but hey, let's move on. Our next big topic, and we got a lot of good shit to talk about in the world of gaming. Lots of gaming news today. And the first big piece of news today, and the one I feel like is going to be a good conversation, again, it's going to come down to personal preference, and it's going to be subjective how people view stuff. But today, we finally got the reveal.
That's fair, Forge.
For Battlefield 2042. Battlefield 2042. We're going back to the future. And as Brian says, this is not gameplay. This is
shock.
Dude, which is crazy because, as El Blanco pointed out in the chat, this is a 5-minute trailer. It's 5 minutes long, and there's no gameplay. It is all CGI.
Oh, another thing that sounds very EA. Go on.
Yeah, it's just but it was. I thought it was energetic. I like the music.
Oh, it's sexy. Don't get me wrong.
It gets people hyped, gets people excited, and it's got Motley Crue playing it. That's fucking sweet. Everyone loves Motley Crue. I mean, it was a dope trailer. It was exciting. It was fun, and we saw a lot of good stuff. That we saw things that were like big parts of previous Battlefield games that we like, especially like Battlefield 3. You know, we see these dynamic environmental hazards, dynamic weather. We saw tornadoes. We see a lot of fucking shit happen in this trailer that gets people hyped for the future Battlefield. And rightfully so. I mean, it's all about chaos. It's about the large-scale wars, and you got these dynamic events and all this wild shit happening. So they were successful in that regard. But then the details started to slip out. And I feel like there's a good conversation to be had here. We found out that on next-gen systems, not even PC, but next-gen systems, PS5 and Xbox Series X, this game will be $70. Now everyone's like, oh, well, $70, that's no big deal. There's other games for $70. Yes, but this is an MP-only game. There is no single player. It's a multiplayer game only. I was like, well, I mean, it's multiplayer, but that's Battlefield, and that's okay. $70, I'll pay for it. And again, we go back to the Battlefield fans. They're going to buy this shit no matter what. This is what they love
Battlefield.
Battlefield.
Joe Tank?
I think so.
Back the fuck up.
Dude, they fucking love Battlefield. So you will have your hardcore buying this game. But there is an audience out there that does like single player. There are people who are interested in multiplayer. Absolutely. Especially on this scale. On next-gen consoles, we're going to have 128 players. That's beefy. That's a big fucking group of players on these huge maps. The maps are going to be bigger on next-gen systems. The player count's going to be higher.
I think Battlefield stories are awesome.
Some of these maps look dope. This map right here that they're showing reminds me of Japan in Kong vs. Godzilla. Yeah, at night, you got all these neon lights everywhere. I mean, some of this shit looks fucking sweet. Like, it looks really, really good. And Mospo says, I'll pay for it because DICE does good work, and I like to see what the 128-player maps look like. And that is your right, and I respect that. And if you're a fan of that shit, go get it. That's awesome. Here's my issue, my concern. I don't have an issue with it because I'm not buying this unless it comes to Game Pass, which I really think is something they need to consider, even though they've already released the ability to pre-order the game at these prices on Xbox and PlayStation 5. But here's the thing, man. This is a multiplayer-only game. Mm-hmm. It's going to have a battle pass that you're going to have to buy every season. You're going to have to buy the battle passes on top of the game.
On top of the 70?
The other concern I have, only 7 maps at launch. 7 maps.
Not a lot of variety.
Not a lot of variety. Now, look, these maps are massive, and they are broken down into sectors, and that's fine. Yeah, the jet tribute is fucking, that was fucking sweet.
Oh, that's fucking not real.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, 7 huge maps, but at the same time, it's just 7 maps. And, you know, for the people that grind, yes, again, Battlefield fans, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other concerns I have with this is no Battle Royale in the launch window. There's no Battle Royale. There's no campaign, no cooperative stuff that we know of yet. There might be. They got some other stuff they're going to talk about. But this is also launching in the fall. This is launching in the fall. Right, I get that, but you still have to pay for a battle pass. You still have to pay for it. And a $70 game that's multiplayer only. But here we are. It's launching in the fall. There's going to be a lot of massive games coming out this fall. A lot of big games. Call of Duty's, which has, by the way, a free Battle Royale mode. You have Apex Legends, free Battle Royale mode. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of free-to-play games out there. Halo Infinite is coming to Xbox in Game Pass. I'm telling you right now, yes, Battlefield has a huge community, massive community. There's a lot of fucking Halo players who are going to get Halo Infinite for free and be like, you know, I don't have to buy $70. I'm not dropping $70 on this game. I have this shit. And they're going to play that. I just feel like for $70, launching in the middle of the fall rush of games, with all these games coming to Game Pass, this is a hard sell. For me, anyways. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. I know you've enjoyed some elements of Battlefield. Yeah. And I know the chat. I want you guys and girls to keep talking about it. I want to get I'll go through these as Tone's talking about it. I feel like this is a really, really, really tough sell for EA this fall. I think this is going to be really tough. Yes, I have no doubt this is going to be a stunner of a game. It's going to be a beautiful game. DICE just knows what the fuck they're doing. Okay? This will be a great-looking game. They are two different player types, but, dude, if people are on their Xbox, they're like, hey, man, I can go play Halo Infinite, has a campaign, has multiplayer, has all this shit. I don't have to pay $70 for Battlefield. They only have 7 maps.
I think I
don't have to do that.
And that scope what you're talking about is like, partly what I look at is like FPSs, and because I differentiate between the game genres as well too. I think that's important, because there's people that just play a lot of shooting games. They're gonna try and play the next big one, or just try to play them whatever. And I think that's kind of in my way I look at it is kind of what you're saying, and maybe it's also yes, there's other games to play as well too, but I just think the entire fucking thing sounds very EA to me, and I was telling you that. Like, here's a game you got to buy for $70. You can buy the extra passes as well, or you can grind out for them, but you got 2 or 3 maybe modes. There's 7 maps. Yeah, they're big maps and stuff like that, but give us $70. There's no things. It just sounds very EA to me. Like, sounds so fucking old school EA, and I don't know how much DICE has a hand in that, but because I have a lot of respect for DICE, I really do. But man, I'll tell you this. I would buy a Battlefield before I buy a Call of Duty, 9 chances out of 10. Battlefield 3, I think, is I know there's Bad Company guys out there, you, Prime. Some of y'all love your Battlefields and know your bad companies. I thought Battlefield 3 blew my mind because it was a very present-day modern story with actual actors. I played through that campaign. I was blown away by it. I played that. I had a great time with that, too. Battlefield, Bad Company 2 is
Prime Didac and Just Canadian nailed it right there.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, sure. The campaigns in the most recent Battlefield games have been underwhelming and whatnot, and not a lot of people have played them. I mean, based on some statistics that they posted that we saw on Twitter today, not a lot of people played that game. But man, Bad Company 1 and 2 were fucking incredible games. Bad Company 1 and 2 had excellent multiplayer, and an incredible campaign. So yes, there is a place for that. My concern, again, though, is going back to just this game dropping in the middle of the fall rush. And I understand, and I'm not trying to discredit the people who are Battlefield fans who are going to get hundreds of hours out of this game. They're buying this game no matter what. They don't give a fuck what it costs. I get that. I'm talking about a lot of people who are on the fence, who are like, okay, look, I like single-player stuff too. And yes, Halo Infinite's going to be in Game Pass, but man, there's a lot of other games coming out this fall that have single-player stuff. And they're going to be like, man, $70 for a game that has a long-lasting campaign, maybe some multiplayer, looks a hell of a lot more appealing than Battlefield with 7 maps at $70.
Yeah, because Moss brings a good point. He's like, I think, I get my Halo for my cost of Game Pass, and I have that extra 70 for Battlefield. That's a good perspective.
Yeah,
and yeah, definitely, I think that's a great perspective.
But there's more games than Battlefield coming out this fall.
That's true, and with the current gen systems now starting to get those games pumped out too, like. Not everybody does buy all those games, so you sometimes have to kind of consider where you can spend your money as well. But again, I think that again, I'm not an FPS person, and I think that's pretty well known around here. I don't really care for Call of Duties. I thought Modern Warfare was probably one of the best Call of Duties I'd played and enjoyed since like Ghost, which I know is controversial, but it was still Infinity Ward. At the very least, it played like a Modern Warfare game. Sure. All right, the game can be trash, but it felt like a Modern Warfare game. Compared to like Modern Warfare 2 and things like that. So I really enjoyed Modern Warfare, but I'm terrible at it. I didn't play it for long, but I had a good time with it. My money was well spent enjoying that game. I probably won't buy that. I would probably buy this later down the road when it's on sale, because I feel like for me, like the value of it, and due to my preference of playing a lot of single player stories. If there were people playing this, I might still kind of debate it, but 7 maps is a hard sell for me. A lot of what you said is a hard sell for me for $70, because at this point in my life, I got to look at time. I got to look at my investment. I got to look at, my return on investment when I'm spending that money as well, too. It sounds interesting. It looks great. They always look great. DICE builds great. The Frostbite engine is amazing. I think the point that you're trying to make, I do agree with, is that, yes, guys like Moss are going to play it. Some of y'all are going to buy this and you're going to love it because you love the Battlefield. Brian said something earlier, too, that made a really good point, too. I wish I could have, I don't know what it was. I don't know if you can scroll down. I don't know if you saw what he said.
What did he say?
Brian said something down there, too, that I thought was really a good point, too. Down a little bit. Around crash. Brian, right there. Is that it? Where did he say it?
He probably said something about,
I don't know. He did
mowing
say
the lawn naked or some shit.
He probably did, actually. But point is that, you know, like, I think you got to look at the bigger picture. Like, while this is great for you fans of it, it's like a guy like me who's going to say, I'm going to watch Spyro, you're not going to like it. You got to try and captivate more people if you want your return investment. Look what happened to Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5 came out, and how many people can you count in your hand that actually played it and really talked about it all the time? I can't name but 3 people, maybe.
You know, and Cuddles mentioned, you know, Call of Duty did this a couple years back with Black Ops 4, and it didn't miss a beat, but it also didn't sell as much as the other Call of Duties.
Right.
Black Ops 4 was not I mean, it made Call of Duty money, but in terms of its popularity, wasn't even close to like Black Ops 3 or anything that's come after it.
Yeah, and like, it's funny because I said to you then, and I said in rebuttal to that, was that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 had more content than most Call of Duties. You had the first BR, you had actual multiplayer, you had zombies, which I thought was phenomenal on that one, and you had like pseudo campaign modes. So you got a lot of bang for your buck.
You get a lot of bang for your buck, and this you're getting 7 maps, and it looks like we're getting a couple modes. Obviously, we're going to get All-Out Warfare, we're going to get Conquest and Breakthrough. These are kind of the largest maps for the franchise, and up to 128 players. And that part of it was, dude, don't get me started.
Oh yeah,
on Mag, dude. Come on, Mag was way ahead of its time. The other mode that looks interesting is Hazard Zone, all new high stakes squad based game type for the Battlefield franchise that is a modern take on multiplayer experience that is distinctly DICE, but very different from All Out Warfare's Conquest.
Which does
and Breakthrough
get
modes.
us a little excited.
That sounds interesting, like squad based stuff. I'm
Yeah.
cool with checking some of that stuff out. I'm still not going to spend $70 on this game. And then the other thing they mentioned to be announced, the third experience being developed by DICE LA is another exciting new game type for the franchise. This experience is a love letter to Battlefield fans and one that longtime players will feel right at home with. Tune into EA Play Live on July 22nd for all the details.
Does anybody know what they could be talking or alluding to?
I'm not like I've played everything from like Battlefield 3 on,
except for Battlefield 5.
Didn't play Battlefield 5.
Weird.
But does anybody have a guess? I mean, for the Battlefield hardcore fans out there, the folks that have been playing a lot of it, do you have any idea what this third experience they could be alluding to? I'm curious what you guys think. Is it just a $70 thing for you? Would you even spend? No, dude, look, it's the fall rush. I like to play a lot of different games. I like to play single player. I like to make multiplayer. And the fact is, for myself, and there's, like I said, it's different for everybody. I spend a lot of my multiplayer time playing Destiny 2. That's where I play with my friends. That's where I do co-op. That's where I do multiplayer. But to sit there and drop $70 on a game that's multiplayer only, when there's games like Deathloop coming out, and you've got all these, other games are going to be announced soon. They're going to come out this fall. Even Halo. I mean, I'm pumped to try out Halo. And it's just like, dude, I can't justify dropping $70 on a fucking Battlefield game that only has 7 maps. I can't do that. There's no way I can justify it. I won't play it nearly as much. I'll hop on. I'll be in awe of the visual feast that this game will no doubt have. But then I'll be like, I'm good. I'm going somewhere else. It's just
that's
that simple.
just the way I look at it too. And I think that's another good point as well too. Like, while people that are really excited about this, like Battlefield fans maybe, and a few casuals out there, but I think this is like, they're really banking on fourth quarter for being this a good time for this game. I think it's a bad choice. I think Battlefield, especially after 5 and how well Call of Duties have kind of taken back that swing, because Battlefield 1, for all intents and purposes, really revitalized that series.
Big time.
But 5 was just more of the same, and it kind of like really, it also came out at a bad time, I think, too, in some of the bits they were doing with that. But I think this would be a game that they should have just waited to maybe like next, late winter or something. Like, there's no shooting games that ever come out, and like, there's great games that come out in late winter that you'll play, like, like a lot of Sony titles these days, or a Dying Light. But you never see a game like this except for the first Titanfall come out. And look what happened when Titanfall came out in March.
Man.
Sold like fucking hotcakes. If a game like this came out in March, the discussion might be a little bit different.
I still think that's where this needs to come out. If it's going to ship in this shape, I think March is where it needs to come out.
I think a late winter for a game like this would be much more, because you've already got 2 or 3 months in from Christmas. People played their games. They're bored with this one.
Yep.
There's no shooting games. They want something fresh that's shooting.
But see, at the same time, though, man, we're in a different era. Like, before then, we used to think January and February were downtimes. We used to think those were downtimes, but the last couple of years, we're starting to see more games, much like very good movies. The January and February was always kind of like that dumping ground where everyone's like, all right, let's take a fucking break. Let's slow down production.
Everybody caught on to it.
But now that games are more expensive, and they realize there's other opportunities, so these windows aren't as dead as you'd think.
RoboCop 2014.
They're starting to fill up quick. I still think a game like that. Now, look, if Battlefield had a full-on campaign, if this was Bad Company 3 with a fucking sweet campaign, awesome multiplayer, a co-op segment, Put that bitch out in October. I'll fucking buy it for $70. I'll buy the gold edition. You know what I'm saying? That's content. That's a lot of fucking content.
The gold edition. That's
but
funny.
when you sit there and do this weak-ass fucking multiplayer only with 7 maps, for myself, it's different for everybody, and I get it. But that shit ain't hype for me, dude. Yeah, and again, Rainbow Six Siege, I feel like is one of those rare games, but there's a lot of I think that launched with 10?
Yeah, and that game took them years.
It took them a long time to get to that point.
Long,
that thing was
long,
almost dead on arrival.
Yeah, that was real DOA for a while, and then.
And plus, I want to say Rainbow Six is more of a niche title. It's not. Rainbow Six doesn't have the cash as Call of Duty.
Well, it originally wasn't, but it turned into that.
But I mean, what I'm talking about, like where Siege was, Rainbow Six Vegas was great. I loved it, and those games were fun. But when it came to Rainbow Six Siege,
I do, Brian.
It was ultra sweaty. It's always been a competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
It's built towards more a niche audience, even though it exploded once they got that shit working. But I just feel like for Battlefield, this is EA. This is a huge developer. This is DICE. I feel like you should be able to have more than just multiplayer and 7 maps.
Like I said, I just feel like the whole thing sounds and feels like EA to me. So
I can't see how Call of Duty or some of these other developers can kick out so much fucking content in their games, and EA DICE can only come up with 7 maps and what sounds like 3 game modes. I don't get that. Yes, the maps are massive. I get that part of it. I just don't get how that's all they can have.
Mm-hmm. If you slander EA one more time, I'm getting my belt.
Don't get them started.
Yeah, I can fire off on EA all day.
Yeah, they reuse maps, but at least there's a shit ton of maps. There's variety. 7 maps is going to get old fast. It is. For a multiplayer, if you're grinding multiplayer, 7 maps is bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah, or if you're grinding 40 levels of Hive trying to get exotics.
Dude, there's
Avengers.
like 10 maps from the Battlefield games that I would love to see them bring back to Battlefield. I don't give a fuck the reuse. They're awesome maps.
They ain't gonna do it. They ain't listening to you. Yeah.
Bring in some of the old school Battlefield maps. I'll be fucking happy. Reskin that shit for next gen and let's go.
There's, like you said, there's some great maps from Battlefield 3.
He's a salty old man who has no taste in games. Don't blame him. Oh, wow, weewa. And look, I get it. Not everyone likes Call of Duty. Not everyone likes Battlefield. I feel like this is a very healthy conversation. You guys are bringing some great points. I understand the perspective of Battlefield fans who are hyped for this shit. That's awesome. You're gonna have a great time. You'll get the most out of this game. You're gonna spend a lot of time with it. I dig it. From somebody who has to be a little bit smarter with money, who has to use Game Pass to free up funds for other single player games or other things like that. I just feel like $70 is a lot, dude. But yes, Atomic said, I want to see. Oh, he wants to see Fable footage. We will see gameplay this weekend at the Xbox Bethesda press conference. We will see something with Battlefield. We will see gameplay, which I think is going to be very important for next gen to justify that $70 price. If this thing comes out looking fucking incredible, I'm still not buying it, but it'll help make people think, hey, at least I know my money's going somewhere, for the quality of the maps and the quality of the action. That's great. But I feel like this is a really hard sell. But everyone's going to be different, and I respect everyone's opinions, and you guys make a lot of great points. It's just really, really hard to get excited about this right now.
I do agree that, I think what Brian said about
I'm going to go back to Tricky really quick. He says, is this included in EA Play Pro? I don't know if it's included in Pro, but in EA Play and Game Pass Ultimate, you can buy it at a discount and you get like a 10-hour trial. I think, and I'll let you get to your point in a moment, I really think EA is going to take this time between now and launch on October 22nd to look at those pre-orders. And if it's not looking like it's too great because it's multiplayer only, I would not be shocked if Xbox comes out. This would be on Game Pass.
I think that's eventually where it's going to end up.
I mean, there was a lot of speculation that it was going to go to Game Pass. EA and Microsoft have been very chummy. I think it'd be a great dude. If this shit sounds like a Game Pass game right now, in my opinion.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Like again, I know everybody's different on it, but I'm not saying the direction they're going is bad. I'm saying that the $70 price point is. And while I agree, I piss away many dollars out the week for nothing, but in a video game, for me, $70 really has to kind of come correct. Now, there's perspective when the amount of time you may play in it, but again, 7 maps, hours long to do them, all that stuff. But to me, this sounds like a game that's either a Game Pass or a more of a value game, like a $40-$50 game, because hey, you still gotta buy these if you want to add on the stuff, things like this. That's
and again, our opinions might change, and your opinion in the chat might change once the gameplay review drops this weekend. Crash asks, is E3 this weekend? Yes, it begins on I think tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. The Summerfest,
right.
Jeff Keighley's Summerfest will be live, and that's like the kickoff of E3, and it's all this weekend. We'll actually talk about the schedule here in a minute. EA doesn't work that way. Absolutely, they don't. EA wants that ticket price. You fucking ain't right. They do.
Like I said, the entire thing sounds like EA. So
yeah, it's like I said. It's. I think it's an interesting conversation. There's a lot of different perspectives to look at it. Some people are gonna love it and they don't give a fuck and they'll pay that $70. And others like myself are gonna look at that and be like, I just don't see the $70 value here, regardless of what they show on Sunday, just gameplay wise. I need content. And I know Cuddles is doing his bit with Destiny, but yeah, they have 12 maps, but they also have multiple Gambit maps, multiple raids, multiple strike missions, different landings. I mean, it's not even, you can't even compare the two. It's not even close. All right, the next game we're going to talk about drops on Friday, and we're kind of excited about it. We're really excited about it because, I've really enjoyed Ratchet and Clank, and the reviews for this game have been absolutely incredible.
I read one that said this is the best exclusive game to PlayStation since Bloodborne.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of reviewers have said this is the reason to own a PlayStation 5, and that's after games like Returnal that have utilized the power of the PlayStation 5, Astrobot, but this is definitely a much more accessible game. This game is going to sell in bunches. Yes, it's on PlayStation 5 only, but you better believe the people that had those PlayStation 5s that have been looking for a PlayStation 5 exclusive, a game that's not on PlayStation 4, that's a little bit more accessible than Returnal, this thing's going to fucking sell like gangbusters. This thing's going to go nuts. The reviews have been astounding for it. It's a beautiful looking game. I mean, this is Pixar quality shit, you guys. This is really, really good. And another big plus is that you're going to drop some of those on the single player. Yeah, absolutely. It's a single player game. I like single-player games. I value those more than multiplayer. Again, Brian, I'm not saying it's wrong one way or the other. It's all preference. It's all preference. You guys want to spend $70 on 7 maps and multiplayer? Dope. I'll spend $70 and enjoy a hell of a single-player experience, one that I'll be able to play through with my kids, probably play through multiple times. I'm not saying that. I'm saying from my perspective, the $70 for Battlefield isn't justified. Looking at the content. That's all I'm saying. And I get it. This $70 for this, that's probably a hard sell for some of y'all. But I'm a single-player person. I like single-player stuff. Nah, we're fighting. Meet me on the lawn naked.
Yeah, Miss Cannon will definitely be catching everything this weekend as far as E3 goes. Definitely going to catch that showcase as well. But, yeah, to kind of gear towards this, I think it's an interesting debate when it comes back and forth on the multiplayer and the single-player, because we're big single player guys, both of us, and we do play some multiplayer as well too. I think for me, it's more of a first person versus single player.
Sure.
First person shooter games are a harder sell for me. If it's an FPS that's more of an RPG or something different, then I'm kind of more inclined to be excited about it. But I'm more particular about my FPSs. I look at it more as like FPS is a repetitiveness of the same thing over and over, and that's just kind of how those work, and I understand that. I like to experience things that as far as gaming goes, that looks at standards and levels and bars and says, well, we've raised that, so what can we do to either meet that or go above it? And to me, sure, games made by DICE that have the Frostbite engine, they're gonna look great, don't get me wrong.
Sure,
they're gonna be fun, but the one thing that all FPSs have that are the same is that they're all fucking FPSs and they're multiplayer games.
Sure.
That's kind of just a general blanket for them all. To me, when it comes to gaming and experiences, and I even look back to my past when it came to Super Nintendo games and things like that, and some of the games that I remember the most are games that made me feel something on an emotional level and was bigger than just the controller that I had in my hand. And while I understand the enjoyment you have playing Halo many years as I have with guys like Prime or playing multiplayer and even shooting games or Battlefield 1 a couple years ago with a big group of us, it's a great time and have a lot of fun. But there's different ways to compartmentalize those kind of things to me. And for me, multiplayer games do not hold up against a single player experience that makes you feel like, wow, this was something I invested time into it was a story. To me, it's like reading a book in a way as well too. So yeah, I understand that everybody's different on that as well too, but it's going to be always a tougher sell for me on a multiplayer game, especially if it's only multiplayer game versus a single player story at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this simply because it's an exclusive to the PlayStation 5. It's something that'll show off what the system does, and by all intents and purposes, everything we've seen from Digital Foundry to other people, this is an absolutely beautiful fucking game. It looks like it runs great. Obviously, when we saw the trailer this week, the gameplay, it was 30 frames, but since then, Insomniac has confirmed this will also have a ray tracing performance mode, which will be 60 frames, 1440p, and from the videos we've seen of it, this is how I'm playing the game. Yes, 30 frames, 4K is great, and I'm sure it'll look fucking gorgeous. But it's all about, especially with a game like this where there's a lot of particle effects and things blowing up.
You want to be able to utilize that SDD.
I want that higher.
HD, yeah,
I want that higher frame rate for combat specifically. But no, dude, I'll be checking this out this weekend. I know my kids are super hyped. I keep showing them the trailer and they think it's fucking adorable. I actually played through a lot of the last Ratchet and Clank. And they were sitting by my side going, this game is so cool. I let them play, and it's still just a little too advanced for them. But this looks fucking dope. It's reviewed incredibly well. It sounds like Insomniac is hit out of the park. Another interesting note, and I thought it was really cool that some of the developers from Insomniac went to Twitter and said this. They said, we made this game during a pandemic without any crunch.
Yeah, they did bring that up, didn't they?
Many of them said we didn't have to crunch. One person said I had to stay up late a few hours because I wanted to work on something, but I was never pressured to work late.
That was a jab to CD Projekt Red, I think, pretty openly.
It was a jab at a lot of these developers that do crunch.
Oh, Ubisoft's getting some shit too recently, weren't they?
Yes, they have. Yep. But I mean, that is really, really cool that a lot of these developers that come out and said, "Look, man, this was a passion project. This is something they love very much, and they were able to knock this game out during a pandemic, working remotely without any crunch, which is fucking impressive." It's really impressive, and it's a testament to Insomniac Games. And, dude, in the last 6 or 7 months, Insomniac has kicked out Spider-Man Remastered, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and now Ratchet and Clank. They are the driving force behind the PlayStation 5 right now. And it's allowing other folks like Naughty Dog, which is also working on a AAA multiplayer experience based on the Last of Us universe. And I don't know if this is Factions or if this is something else. I feel like if it was Factions, they would have said, we're working on Factions. But this is supposedly something else that takes place in the Last of Us universe, which is interesting because why would you want to do anything else other than Factions? Factions is really good.
Everybody said that was really good.
But it'll be really interesting to see what this does for Insomniac, what they're going to do next. It was interesting because Colin Moriarty, somebody who I used to enjoy, but recently he kind of acted a fool on Twitter. He did a report or he had an interview going where he mentioned that back in the PS3 era, Insomniac had pitched to Sony Resistance 4, which is something I would love to see, a Resistance reboot or a sequel or something like that. And Sony shot it down because we have too many apocalyptic games right now. Obviously with The Last of Us coming out and some of these other games and whatnot, it was difficult for them to be like, yeah, let's go for it. I would love to see Insomniac revisit Resistance. Resistance 3 was the pinnacle of that series, and it was fucking great. So I would love to see, Atomic, I want a reboot or something to do with Resistance because that series was dope. Crash says Sly Cooper. Would love to see Sly Cooper. It was also, last thing I want to mention, it was really interesting. Leading up to, I think it was yesterday on Twitter, Insomniac actually took over the Fizzies account on Twitter as well as the Sunset Overdrive. They were tweeting a lot of stuff from there. Dude, the Fizzy account hadn't tweeted shit in 3 years, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, what's going on? Weird tweets from that, and then Insomniac's posting photos of the Ratchet Rift that's opening up in all these worlds that you see in the trailers with Fizzy coming through with lights coming out of his eyes. So there's a lot of stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of Sunset Overdrive, but it was really interesting to see Insomniac taking over these accounts that have all been dead for 3 years. All of a sudden are being active. So I don't know if maybe Sony's going to announce at some point maybe a PS5 version and then a sequel. But again, I couldn't get into Sunset Overdrive, even though I know there's a lot of Xbox fans that really love that game, even though it didn't quite, sell like they had hoped.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff out there as well too. Cuddles, we know you want an Anthem reboot, dude. It's coming down the road. Let's see, scroll down just a little bit. I caught something. Just Canadian likes those platformers. See that, Jack and Daxter. Cannon, you're getting a controller soon. Yeah, send it to me. I'll take it from you. Cuddles, I know you did beat a Maneater. That's a great single player game. Everybody should enjoy those.
Super fun.
Those are really fun, honestly, right now.
Chris Parnell as the narrator is fucking hilarious.
Fucking hilarious for sure. Jay McKenzie brings up a good point. As somebody who kind of works in the developmental field, says that Insomniac Games is one of the highest rating video game developer companies. You can check them out on the Googles, and we'll tell you that. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, they're high rated because of how they treat their people, which is the opposite if you work for GameStop or something like that. So.
It's interesting. No, that's really good to hear. We're going to talk a little bit about E3. We won't get too in depth. We got a lot of stuff we got to talk about. Plus, I think the giveaway is just about done.
Is it?
We have 1 minute and 50 seconds. If you want to enter in, ! Enter to get entered in for a $20 gift card on the system of your choice, whether it's PSN, Xbox Live, or eShop. $20! ! Enter to get entered in, and you have to be here to claim it. ! Claim. You have a minute and a half. Minute and a half to get entered in.
Really like this beer.
It's really good. I'm surprised you're sober.
Really fucking
which is crazy.
Good.
But last thing we want to talk about is obviously the E3 schedule. Make this a little bit bigger for Tom, but y'all hopefully should be able to see it. Saturday, June 12th, the broadcast pre-show is at 10 a.m. These are all Pacific time. Ubisoft Forward is at 12 p.m. Pacific time. Gearbox, Tone's favorite, E3 Showcase. Actually, I think Gearbox is not doing Aliens, right? That's somebody else.
No, they already trashed one series.
That's true. So that they're at 2 p.m. on Saturday. On Sunday, we have the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Square Enix at 12:15. Warner Brothers Games Back for Blood is at 2 p.m. PC Gaming Show, Future Game Show at 2:34 p.m. respectively. On Monday, we have Intellivision at 9:45. Yeah, this is a lot of weird stuff. Indie Showcase will be good, though, at 12 p.m. Indie Showcase. Capcom at 2:30. And then on Tuesday, the final day, Nintendo's has a Nintendo Direct at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Bandai Namco is at 2:25. And then you've got some award stuff and whatnot to close out the day. So we will be talking about all of the shit that we see this weekend. We'll be talking about it next Wednesday right here on Banter and Babble. But, Tone, I mean, I think, other than a couple of these smaller shows, I think the Xbox Bethesda one is the one shaping up that everyone's really excited for. That's at 10 a.m., 2 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. 1 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. Is there anything at any of these shows or Microsoft?
There's our winner.
Forge Hammer?
Forge Hammer!
Exclamation point claim, my friend. Forge Hammer is our winner.
He wants PSN code.
Exclamation point claim, sir.
Already know.
Please be here to get that. Because if not, it's going to draw somebody else in a minute.
He's there.
Forge Hammer.
Exclamation
point claim to get it. Oh, boy. Forge Hammer's he's making it interesting. He's making it interesting. How much time does he have? 30 seconds, Forge Hammer. There it is. Hey-o.
Right.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you, bro.
To Forge Hammer. Y'all realize I have to punch my grandma every time I lose this giveaway. Well, I'm sorry
Jesus.
to hear that. But I like the way you take out your aggression. That's on you. That's on you, he says.
That's on you. Good thing she's a vegetable.
Forge Hammer, we will reach out to you after the show. And we'll figure out what system you want to get that on.
PSN.
He wants PSN?
Already know.
All right, man. We will definitely get you hooked up with your PSN code. Thanks so much for being a part of it. Thank you so much for being here. And everybody else that's always a part of the show. We appreciate your support each and every week. How you doing?
Good. I think far as E3 that I'm always excited about Square Enix because the RPG guy. I'm waiting for some Final Fantasy 16 is what I want to see.
Oh, okay.
I would like some Marvel Avengers update before I completely throw my PS5 out a window. I am curious about the Xbox showcase. I clearly we've all talked about it numerous times. I don't really give a shit about Bethesda, so I know some of y'all are excited about it. So yippee-ki-yay or some shit.
You're basically there for the Halo stuff. You want to see some good.
I want to see some Halo stuff. I'm also curious to see if all the shit we were talking about beforehand. There's been a lot this year, a lot of smoke and mirrors, and a lot of shit that.
It's mostly fanboy.
It's been
driven.
A lot of fanboy stuff puffed out of their ass about Sega, about Konami and things like this. I'm just kind of curious to see what Game Pass is doing, if they've made any big moves or not, or if it's just bullshit. So that's really the big curiosity for me. But really, there's not a lot. I keep saying it. I feel like, and I could be wrong, and I hope I am. I just feel like it's going to be a weird E3. I think there's going to be a lot of meh announcements and a lot of stuff that's going to be so far out I don't give a shit about it. So if I see something from that Callisto game or whatever that I can't ever remember.
Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, then that'll be really hype for me. But there's not a lot of things on the horizon that I'm overly excited about right now.
Other than Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, I am actually excited about that as well too. But I do like E3 for new things. I'll never forget the first time we had like a Ghost of Tsushima announcement.
Oh.
That was pretty exciting. So like I like to see new things. But I am very curious about Halo Infinite. That's the big one for me from Halo or from Microsoft. So.
Yeah, I want to see some real good gameplay. I don't want to see some weak ass mission like they did for the first reveal. That mission was fucking stupid. It was lame. Wasn't exciting. I want to see some really good shit. You can sit there and return to your roots and still deliver an exciting gameplay experience. Something they didn't do with that first reveal. What Cap say? Hard to be excited for new games when people still can't get systems. That's a valid point. That's a very valid point.
And then Bomb Shelter's got another good one there too.
New VR headset by Verizon.
Oh, Verizon! I just thought for PS3.
I mean, yeah, that's the hardest thing to get excited about. That's why we're going to continue to see some of these games go cross gen. I mean, we already know Battlefield is going to be cross gen. We know Call of Duty is going to be cross gen.
Yeah.
They just talked about that tonight. So until these systems are readily available and they can build up an install base that'll justify going to those systems only and leaving last gen behind, this is going to be a thing that's going to be around for a while. Obviously, Sony is taking the initiative. They've made some of their games that are PS5 only: Returnal, Astro, Demon Souls, and obviously the upcoming Ratchet and Clank on Friday. Also, I think can't include Final Fantasy VII because that's still on PS4, even though we'll get the new one tomorrow. The Horizon, that's going to be cross-gen.
Yeah.
Until these systems are readily available and are always on shelves, it's going to be difficult for these publishers and developers to be like, yeah, let's go next gen only. It's really difficult to do that, especially with the cost of these games that are going through the roof. So it makes it very difficult for them to do that. All right, Tone, we are moving on to a trailer. We got ourselves a trailer reaction. And this comes from Reminiscence, starring Hugh Jackman, Andy Newton, and Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Who is a fucking 12 out of 10.
Thinks she's a smokehouse.
Andy Newton is a very, very attractive person. She's a very talented actress. Hugh Jackman's a very attractive guy. But Rebecca Ferguson is my girl.
I'm also really big into Fig Newton.
Yeah, you are big into Fig Newton.
You like me some Fig Newtons.
But let's check out this trailer for Reminiscence, which like immediately you just get Inception vibes.
Absolutely.
But then when you see who's involved, the creator.
Oh, and one of the casting, because Thandy got me excited enough.
This is pretty exciting stuff. So let's check this out.
You're going on a journey through memory. All you have to do is follow my voice.
We're closed. I know. I'm sorry it's late.
We have time for one more job.
Splooge. She's amazing in Mission Impossible. She's amazing in Dr. Sleep.
Andy?
Oh, Rebecca.
When the waters began to rise and war broke out, nostalgia became our way of life. There wasn't a lot to look forward to. So people began looking back. Nothing is more addictive than the past.
No, put me back. Put me back.
I understand. She's moved on, and you should too.
People don't just vanish. To find where she'd gone, I had to know where she'd been. Was she running from the past? Or racing back towards it?
How much did you really know?
Yeah.
How much did you know?
Who was she? Who was she but not with me? You think you want answers? Well, you don't. Where is she? Where is she? Arson, bribery, murder.
Straddle me, Rebecca.
Secrets.
Don't go down this path. Stay here, in this life.
I've turned the blind-eyed aplenty. I have to do this.
That machine of yours, how close can you get before the illusion's broken?
You're going on a journey. All you have to do is follow my voice.
Woo! That was a hot trailer.
Everything about that was gnarly.
That was a hot ass trailer. That drops on August 20th on HBO Max and in theaters. It stars Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson, Thandie Newton, and Tone. The thing that caught your eye in the trailer, this is from the co-creator of Westworld. And when you mention that and you look at the presentation of this trailer,
that got me really hyped.
Got you really hyped. And King Cuddles makes a great point. Oh, it's an HBO Max movie, so all the good parts are in the preview. He's not wrong.
That's a hard debate.
Cuddles is not wrong. Just Canadian. Hugh Jackman is one of my man crushes. My two man crushes are, I say three man crushes. We'll go Hugh Jackman, James Brolin.
Okay.
Or Josh Brolin. The one that did Thanos.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds. Those are my three man crushes.
Not Jeff Daniels?
No, not Jeff Daniels. Not even back in 93.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
But no, like Josh Brolin is that's a man crush. Hugh Jackman. Kurt Russell, 93, yes. Kurt Russell, 93, absolutely. Kurt Russell, Tombstone, yes. Kurt Russell, maybe even Kurt Russell, Big Trouble Little China.
Pork Chop Express.
Pork Chop Express.
You called down the thunder. Well, now you got it.
That's not bad. I was about to say, dude, Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds is my man crushes. Yes. I'm a close number 4 for dudes, man. You were just on the outside, Cap. You were just on the outside. Some people mentioned, does Wolverine, does Hugh Jackman ever age? No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
That was one of the first things I said earlier, too.
Does this guy ever get fucking old? Never. And that's why he's lucky. But no, this trailer looked dope. And it looks like, if it's from the co-creators of Westworld, it's going to be a thought-provoking movie. This is obviously based on the trailer. Inception vibes like crazy. If it's anything like Inception, this is going to be a thought-provoking movie.
Man, I got serious Fountain vibes from this too, and I'm surprised you hadn't seen that.
Fountain.
Has anybody out there seen Fountain? The Fountain, because that's another like thought-provoking, like that's like an existential thought-provoking. It's not really trying to like play games with you, but I thought The Fountain always was fucking crazy, and that's got Hugh Jackman in it as well too. But I'm a big fan of that movie. But yeah, I think this looks great. I'm totally on board. It's ironic because yes, as Cuddle says, we saw the trailer. That's all the HBO usually shows, and here we are. So I'm excited for it. So
I like what Have says. Brolin and No Country for Old Men. Yeah, he was hot in that. But dude, my favorite movie is Cable and Deadpool 2. He was fucking amazing as Cable.
Oh, he was absolutely
and the other movie that I thought he was really fucking like charismatic and badass was
Goonies.
No. The one with Elizabeth for fuck's sake. Sicario.
Oh,
Sicario. He
badass.
was badass. Yeah, Brolin in Goonies when he was younger, yeah. But in Sicario, he was fucking awesome in Sicario. He's just a total fucking cocky badass. But yeah, Josh Brolin.
Cap, you get it. Cap gets it.
What'd he say?
He says Hugh Jackman seeing through time and reality or searing through. Does he say searing?
I don't know. You're the one
searching through time and reality for his lady. Yeah, sounds familiar. Very Fountain-like.
Very Fountain-like. I love Ryan Reynolds in 6 Underground. I have never seen 6 Underground.
I've heard good things.
That's the Michael Bay joint, isn't it? I think it's a Michael Bay Netflix joint.
Isn't that kind of popular?
Old Boy.
Oh yeah, Brolin's an old boy, right?
Is he an old boy? He is an old boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I have not seen 6 Underground, but I do want to see that. I just know it's a Michael Bay. So anytime like I see Michael Bay attached to anything, I don't give a fuck who's in it. Yeah. Especially if Josh Duhamel's in it. I know this movie's gonna be shit. So I'm always concerned if anybody's involved with Michael Bay. So a little not too sure about that. But no, this movie looks dope. August 20th, we'll definitely check it out. We'll definitely talk about it. Should be a really, really good flick, hopefully. Cuddles makes a good point. Did we just see everything that's good about this movie in the fucking trailer? HBO Max. They've struck out, with the exception of Godzilla vs. Kong. They haven't had too much luck with their movies. I mean, you think about the one that we saw in January, the Denzel, Jared Leto. We said it was forgettable, and already we can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, they've just had some some duds in this HBO Max thing, which was disappointing because when they announced, hey, look, all of our shit is coming straight to
It was
HBO
a good idea
Max.
because you weren't going to get anybody to pay for it in the
that's
theaters.
fucking sweet. And these movies are just kind of disappointing with the exception of Godzilla vs. Kong. So it is Judas
definitely is the best movie they put out.
As much as
I love Godzilla vs. Kong, Judas was definitely the best movie they put on HBO.
The performances, the story, everything was great.
Close.
Absolutely, 1,000% agree.
That might be movie of the year.
Was that out this year? Or was that out in the fall?
No, that was out this year.
Was that out this year? Okay,
yeah, motherfucker.
Jeez. All right, how you doing?
Good. Moving on.
Really? Oh, okay. All right. Moving on. Star Wars: Bad Batch, Episode 6. Tone?
Mortal Kombat suck, Cap.
Oh my.
Bad Batch. So I was definitely bummed about the prior episode. I felt like it was real meh. This episode, however, definitely flipped that for me. This felt more like a story moving forward to some degree. It felt more Clone Warsy. It was more actiony, which I don't always like to try and fit myself into that because I definitely enjoy good story development as well too when it's right. But this episode just worked better. It felt more. There was still story. There was a lot of undertones here.
Sure.
I think the big takeaways for me here was really two. I'll say three big things. So first of all, the decommissioned. It was called Decommissioned. The episode was, and you're seeing the remnants of the Clankers. The Separatist army being melted down, basically probably used for metal for Star Destroyers for the Empire.
I really hope that's what they do with it. Okay.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope. And they were on Ord Mantell, which is a sweet callback to Shadows of the Empire, which is technically isn't canon, and to something that Han Solo said in Empire Strikes Back. And they've been on Ord Mantell anyways, but it's just kind of cool to keep going with that, or how it's working. Maybe they haven't been. But either way, the droids being decommissioned is kind of like a double-edged sword because it's also kind of like how the clones are.
Yep.
There was a lot of parallels to what's going on with the droids being melted down and smeltered for scrap, and also what's kind of happened with the Bad Batch trying to find their niche, and there's no more war left or whatever it is for them. So I really like that kind of thing. That kind of that fine line between the humanity portion of it. These are clones. How is their identity?
Sure.
Or whatever. They brought back I'm gonna get their names wrong. The Mazda sisters, I believe it was, from season 7 of Clone Wars.
Is that who that was?
Yeah, those girls.
See, I didn't know that.
So those girls hung out with Ahsoka for about 3 or 4 episodes. It felt very forced in that season with them, and not a lot of people really were into it. Yeah, Mazda 3 and 6. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, did I say Mazda? Yeah, Mazda, like the car, right? Yeah, it's pretty funny. I really don't recall their names. That's how unforgettable they were. Because, listen, I appreciate when they bring new characters in and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter the race, the gender, any of that stuff. But it's just got to be intriguing and engaging, and they really weren't. They were, to me, just like a part of Ahsoka's story. So what was cool about it was that you had them come in, and you kind of got, that almost like I'm this close to being around Ahsoka or things like that.
Right.
But it's important because a guy like, Filoni is going to bring characters back around and continue to build on them and move forward, which is also very important for how he builds his universes. So he'll throw out breadcrumbs and come back to them later. And that's important. And that he's keeping continuity. And that's what I respect the most about it regardless. So that was kind of cool. The stuff going on with Wrecker and the he's this close, I'm telling you, to something. His head's gonna fry.
Something's going on with him, and I'm deeply concerned for Wrecker because I love Wrecker.
Ryan Area, as always, of Screen Crush, he called it out loud, said heel turn, and I think he's probably right. I'd agree with him. So I
wonder if his attachment to Omega is going to be the one turning point that brings him back if he does turn.
I hope so,
because he has a huge attachment to Omega.
Right. So hopefully, and then what was also cool about the episode was really the ending.
Yeah.
So we got kind of like.
Who do you think they're talking to?
I think it's Ahsoka.
You think it's Ahsoka?
I'm pretty because she now they could throw us a fucking loop-de-loop as per usual.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure it's Ahsoka because she was the only other character that had anything to do with these two interpersonally. They were searching for this the droid commander. I can't think of what droid that is, that helmet. For whatever reason they wanted him, and it would be very
has intel on their training or something like that, or their
So timeline wise, it would work out well with Ahsoka. She helps kind of build the secret resistance that kind of transcends into Rebels with the Fulcrum group and things like that, based off of her book. You know, it kind of lines up like what she's doing and things like that. You know, the person was cloaked. You only saw like it was very like cheap how they did it. Like, oh, here's like
Here's
you
her
can see a
arm.
little bit of a cloak. Clearly, I'm pretty sure it's Ahsoka. I mean, if Dave Filoni does anything in this era and there isn't at least Ahsoka nod or her as a cameo or anything, then he's not doing, you know, us fanboys the circle jerk right. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be her. If it's not and it's somebody different and even cooler, that's awesome too. But it's got to be Ahsoka. So it was a great episode. There, like I said, there was a lot of like, it's another one of those things that was the episode was really bigger than even just the name, like the decommissioned.
Mhm.
You know, it continues that theme with these characters are growing and getting better. Even Omega at this point is about to, you know, they were at odds with the sisters at first, and then they end up working together. You know, and she even mentioned when she was talking to the cloaked figure, like, I met up with some decommissioned clones or some rogue clones,
Right,
you know,
right.
which to anybody else wouldn't really care. But if you said that to somebody like Ahsoka, or even if it was Rex that they were talking to, or somebody like that, that would be important too. So, great episode. A way more on par with the series than the last one that felt like just kind of like a one-off. This still felt like it was par of the course. So
yeah, I thought it was a good episode. It was definitely a shorter episode. It was like 24 minutes or some shit.
Yeah,
It was a
it
short
was.
episode. I thought when it ramped up, when the action took place in the factory, I thought that was really entertaining. It was again, they're doing really good stuff with animation in terms of action and getting you invested. I fucking love the part where they reanimate the combat droids. And one of them was like, "Where are we?" And he goes, "I don't know. Did we win?"
yeah, that was fucking hilarious.
I could not
Yeah,
stop laughing.
yeah,
When he's like, "I
yeah.
don't know. Did we win?"
Yeah, that was real perfect community. And again, Ryan pointed out in that as well too, is there when they turn those back on, there is a small bit of the actual battle droids music that kicks into the background because
Oh, really?
they're so smart about that music for that. But yeah, that was fucking
I
hilarious.
couldn't stop laughing.
Did we win?
Did we win? I
Yeah,
don't know. Did we
yeah.
win?
Yeah, so that was really cool.
No, it was a good episode. I'm still enjoying this show. You know, we still have 10 episodes to go, but it's cool how they, it is kind of like a teaser, but it can be interesting to see where they go with this. Josh said something down below. Where does the comment go that I thought was funny about the leader? Yeah, is the leader in the Bad Batch the same guy from the first Predator who dies on the tree log? Billy?
That's pretty fucking.
It looks like
funny.
Billy. It could be Billy. Actually, it's funny. That guy played in 48 Hours with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, and his name was Billy in that movie too.
Dead now.
And he's dead. Yeah, Sonny let him. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
We had a couple more comments in here. Let me just see where they are. Alblanco says, just let me know when Hunter yells Adrian. Yes, that's a good point. Blanco says, speaking of Star Wars, you see the new Hot Wheels stuff.
Yeah,
I
I
want
did.
that Mando and Grogu. What are we looking at?
I didn't see the Mando one, but I saw the Grogu one. It was basically like he's like the Hot Wheels do these themed things, but he looks like he's riding in like a little minivan or something like that, like some old van. Yak Face has been on it. There's been a lot of action figure announcements actually today, most from the Rogue One line, which is like really tough for me because I've dialed it back on the 6-inch Black Series figures, but Rogue One is a sweet spot for me when it comes to Star Wars, so it's hard not to say, here's my money, Hasbro, you assholes. But I do want that Galen Erso because played by none other than Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Cap. Hot Wheels character assortments.
Controller
Right there on
just
Amazon?
arrived during. That's random as fuck, Miss Cannon.
What'd she say?
That controller she was talking about earlier just arrived while
Mailman
watching
must
us.
have heard me. Controller holder just arrived.
Yeah,
Whoop, whoop.
he
Post
came,
that
he-
shit.
he
Post that shit
came
on
in
Twitter.
riding a fucking spider because that's what they do in your fucking area. Because the spiders are massive down under.
I don't know. Have you seen the spider in my backyard?
Fuck off.
Thing was fucking
Game
huge.
Cannon knows. She posted a picture of her cat looking out the window the other day, and I made some comment about probably some spider comment. And she's like, "Do you see the War of the Worlds like machine back there?" I'm like, it kind of creeps me out because it looked like you could see that coming through like some of the fog out there.
It's fucked up. I don't need that shit in my
Yeah, that
life.
shit creeps me out.
All right. Moving on to the final topic of the evening.
Final topic of the evening.
Just a
Ladies
quick
and gentlemen.
reminder, we won't get into too much spoil. I don't think there's a whole lot to spoil, but regardless, if you have not watched the first episode of Loki, which is available now on Disney Plus, for whatever reason, Disney felt compelled to release this shit on Wednesdays, which I'm still trying to figure out the logic behind that.
Yeah, we're gonna do
But-
our best every Wednesday to.
We'll try to catch it every Wednesday. There might be sometimes we won't talk about to the following week, but we were able to sit down and watch the first episode today. So let's talk about Loki. And Tone, again, I'm going to lean into you here. I want to get your initial impressions of what we saw from Loki and what are some of the standout shit.
Sure. It looks like Joaquin Phoenix and Joker right here. That's all I got to say about that.
It does. It looks like Joker.
If so, you guys can review it each weekend. Yeah. Well,
I mean that's ideal.
Plan,
it's really ideal to be able to talk about it on the day of because it's relevant. But I also like the idea of letting a couple days to let it sit and settle and kind of think things over. We're kind of like coming in hot on this discussion, so. Let's talk about Loki.
Overall, I enjoyed it clearly. I love Tom Hiddleston. I felt
Nice.
that him and Owen Wilson had what I was hoping was going to be good chemistry. They had great chemistry. Like, I like Owen Wilson. I also not somebody who goes, man, I love seeing Owen Wilson. I think, like you even mentioned, he fits good in certain roles, and some he doesn't. Like, sometimes it is, sometimes
it really
sometimes
depends on the
not.
material that he's given to work
That's
with.
what you said, yes.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. I thought they had great chemistry. I get, if anybody's seen Legion on FX, I got some Legion vibes out of this. I've got some pseudo X-File vibes. I got the Control, actually, weird as it is, from video games vibes on that as well too. It was really packaged much different than normal MCU that you've seen Loki in. I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to throw people off a lot.
Yeah, and this is definitely a different setup for Loki. It's a different Loki in general.
It's a different backdrop.
Once he hit that one scene, and we'll get to it, but continue.
Everything about it was completely different. This is not a lot of things that I honestly have not a lot of knowledge about necessarily. I am aware of the time variant and all this stuff going on, for sure. But this is definitely interesting because, one, with the timeline stuff and the things that he's done and how he broke off, and we saw that in Endgame, that breadcrumb, him grabbing the Tesseract and taking off. Even though they're explaining the timelines and how they can spiral off differently, and that they were making a point to really explain that, I feel like even though they've kind of fixed Loki for now, I think the point is that something or someone is going to fuck him up, and this might be part of the catalyst to either opening up the multiverse, because they said they don't want another multiverse war.
I mean, they said danger. There's a scene where it says danger multiverse, where they're kind of explaining the whole point of the TVA.
Right. Which is interesting because I want to know how that works with the microverse and all that stuff as well too, but I digress on that. I really enjoyed it. Like, I think the biggest problem we're going to have with this is the same thing we had with WandaVision for the first 2 or 3 episodes is casual audiences aren't going to get it. They're going to be very bored, maybe to a degree. I mean, they might be excited because it's Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, but
the performances I feel like are going to be enough for some of those casuals, because I really do think they're both him and Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. And also, oh my God, the girl's name escapes me, but she was in Lovecraft Country. She's the main security guard.
That's
yeah.
She,
oh
that
my
was
God,
the sister.
I fucking love her.
I said that to the lady. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the
sister.
Lovecraft. Yeah. She was great in that as well too. So was the guy at the desk, who was a random character as fuck.
Yeah,
and that was funny. And the drawer opening and the Infinity Stones and the realization of the click there, that was pretty unique for that. So. Honestly, there's not a lot of build up on here. I still think that we are going to be dealing with Kang.
You think Kang
the Conqueror, I'm pretty sure, is the villain. There was some certain things that was said. The big one for me was, there was really a couple, but the main one I'm going to talk about is when they said like he was from the 3rd millennium. That was really the big indicator for me.
Is that when they were scanning that?
That's when they were the last part of the scene.
Yeah, when they were in Oklahoma.
Yeah, they said, "Oh, this has got the signature of the."
Was it when they were scanning that?
Yeah, and they said something
object.
about the 3rd millennium, something from the 3rd millennium. Pretty sure it's gonna be Kang the Conqueror, and early on when you saw that pane glass and it looked like a Mephisto, like a devil. But what was unique about that pane glass was that the devil head was like more of a purplish color, which is kind of true to Kang the Conqueror's actual look. So I do think it's going to be him. I think if anybody's going to be time with the time variant and everything, it's going to be Kang. I could be wrong on that because, usually with these assumptions and these whatevers, when it comes to things like this, we're not always right. But it was a really good building episode.
Yes.
When it has a lot of different sides. Like, I love the retro-y Fallout look of some things.
Dude,
but
that's
mixed.
all I could think about when they kept showing stuff, especially the cartoons and stuff. They had that Fallout vibe to a lot of the presentation.
Because if anything about Fallout that you can say good or bad, whether you like it or not, the vibe of that series is really awesome. But it also then all of a sudden you peel back and you see like the sci-fi-ness of it as well too. So it was a really good mix. And again, like I did get some vibes of Legion from FX, which is very underrated Fox Marvel property that was really, really cool and very existential as well too. So yeah, not a lot to talk about with it. It was a great episode. I was excited to watch it. More Tom Hiddleston all day. He had some great realizations. I thought the emotional trigger finally
That was the best part for me.
I think yeah, it was really for me too. I think because it really kind of almost humanized him. It broke him because I think like, you know, when you think of Loki, you don't really get to see Loki.
You get to see little bits and pieces of a human side of him. You know, there's scenes where like when Thanos is threatening to kill Thor. You know, you kind of see that emotional. You know, he takes it's like he steps away from being this mischievous monster, this guy that wants to be God, and he has those moments where you're like, okay, no, this has gone too far.
So you're kind of like, which is great, and that's a good point. You're kind of at letter C. I'm talking more like between A and C at the B area.
Mm-hmm.
You see things with Loki and Thor kind of in like Dark World, but you're not still sure if Loki's really serious about it. And then you do see it come full circle in Thor Ragnarok before you get to that point where he sacrifices himself.
Yep.
But he never really came to terms much with everything that happened with Frigga and everything like that, and even his father. You kind of see a little bit of that in Dark World 2 where he's in the room and he's doing the illusion where he's fine, but he's actually all a hot mess.
Right.
This kind of like really like left him vulnerable on an emotional sense, and I thought that was really cool.
Once he realized he wasn't, you know, the super being that
he wasn't in any control.
Yeah, he wasn't in control, and then he saw what his actions were leading to, and you just get a couple of great scenes with him that are like emotionally charged scenes. And again, when you have somebody like Tom Hiddleston who has the acting bravado that he has to be able to carry through these scenes, and you're kind of developing him into an anti-hero at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gone from just been like you're not really sure about him, but now you've seen like the real side of him where he realizes like not only am I not the badass that I thought I was, I mean I'm still pretty badass, but things been put in perspective. And then you see the way he looks at the Infinity Stones when they're sitting all of them in that drawer, and the guy's like, man, some of us use them as paperweights. He gets that perspective, and now he's like trying to find new purpose. He's like, shit, what can I do?
Yeah, he realized.
You know, what can I really achieve if this is the outcome?
If the Infinity Stones have no power here, I have no control.
Right.
I have no control. A lot of great stuff coming out there, so we kind of want to go to half down. So Crash kind of starts. I'm not excited about Kang. I hope he comes. That's Jay McKenzie.
I do. If it's Jonathan Majors is playing Kang, and Jonathan Majors was in Lovecraft Country. He's the main, and he's going to be a fucking amazing Kang.
So they did announce that it's pretty much Kang. So we're pretty sure it's Kang anyway.
Well, I mean, we don't know if it's Kang, but we just know he's going to play Kang in what's the movie he's supposed to be appear in? I want to say it's 4. Or something. He is signed up to play Kang in a movie down the line.
Ant-Man 3?
Ant-Man 3. There you go. Thank you, Zach.
Which makes sense because you're talking about multiverse and sometime as well too.
But yes, he is signed on to play Kang.
So the question is he going to be part of this too? So it might not even be Kang. So that would depend on when this was shot and when he was signed on to play Kang. Very true. Crash said this version of the TVA is very different from the comics. Yeah. And they created the timekeepers rather than the timekeepers making them. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see.
Crash thinks I theorize that Lady Loki is going to be the villain of the series. We do know that there are multiple different variations of Loki throughout the multiverse.
Yeah.
We did see in the trailer there are like we see like this Loki right here is different than the Loki that we are. There's multiple. I mean, when they talk about the devil's horns, you know, Loki wears devil's horns.
Yeah, he does wear horns.
So I mean, there's interesting that
so
we might.
Could it be another Low? Oh,
there's a lot of theories going on that it's a different Loki, another different version of Loki causing problems.
Okay. One thing I do want to say. Well, let's read some. There's some good stuff out there as well too. Yes, Jay Hill. Yes, Legion is good. Thank you. Yes,
Legion is good. Jimmy, what happens if Lady Loki and Bro Loki have a kid? That's pretty horrible. Crash says there was a fun screen reference when Loki said, I'll gut you like a fish, Casey.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he said that earlier, I think, as well, too.
The guy's like, Casey's like, what's a fish?
Yeah, that dude was fucking hilarious.
I like the detail in the credits where you can see Infinity Stones being used as paperweights. That was hilarious. I need to rewatch to look in the drawer better. What else is in there?
There's a medal of some sort with a tag on it, too, which I was trying to figure out. And there was also what looked like a dagger or a knife in the drawer, too. I was really paying attention. Cap says they brought Loki to the same point as a character in this episode took. 4 movies to bring him to previously was done well. That's a good perspective.
Yeah, I thought this episode was really, really good. You know, like I said, I'm able to take a first episode and kind of appreciate the world building, appreciate the character development. Yeah. And I understand people didn't like the way WandaVision started. I liked it because I like it when I don't know. I don't want to know or have it be predictable to know what's coming. I love this world building, this character development. I love, again, you know, and Mackenzie mentioned it, or who was it? Was Crash mentioned it. I mean, Tom Hiddleston's performance in this episode was really good, and the chemistry between him and Owen Wilson is very, very strong. So this should lead to some good scenes leading forward. I thought it was a really good episode. I don't think it was like mind blowing.
No,
but it's a good. We know this is going to be 6 episodes long. There's 6 episodes of this. This is a good place setter. This is how you set the table, kind of get people wondering what's going on, kind of get an idea of where we're going. But I really liked what they did with Tom Hiddleston. I liked what they did with Loki, and again, helping us see why he's moving into that anti-hero, why he's changing his perspective on things.
Last thing I'll say about it too, and it was a really call-out reference. I know you said you had to look it up afterwards. For anybody that knows the story of one of the greatest heists of all time, unanswered and that nobody can answer, D.B. Cooper stealing what they theorize from a commercial plane, which you're not supposed to be able to, like they say, like, you know, it's not easy just to like parachute out of a commercial plane, steal a bunch of fucking money. That Loki was apparently DB Cooper in that timeline, which is pretty fucking cool.
And that seriously has me really excited, because how else?
Yes, Crash.
And now I don't know if it'll be a main point of the show, but how else can they squeeze Loki into some of these unexplained things that have happened in real life?
Like Jack the Ripper or something.
I was thinking like Amelia Earhart or Jimmy Hoffa.
The Jimmy Hoffa thing.
I mean, there could be some wild shit that they could explore with Loki. I love the fact that he did the DB Cooper thing because it was a bet with Thor and him.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I thought that was incredible.
I don't get the joke, Cappadocian, but kudos for you for making a lame one as per usual.
Cap is just striking out horribly right now.
Crash, yeah. I don't get the reference, but I'm definitely, this belongs in a museum. Know the reference, trust me. Coronado's dead, kid. Good shit.
Oh, Tone, just so you know, I started Sweet Tooth. I got to watch Sweet Tooth, it sounds like.
Yes, that was going to be one of the last things. I know we're kind of wrapping up here. I do want to say, if you have not yet been able to watch Sweet Tooth on Netflix, I know we didn't talk about it tonight. I'm hoping in the next couple weeks you can get caught up in it, because I want to make you watch it.
I might power through it this weekend.
8 episodes. I binged it in 2 or 3 days. I absolutely loved it. I know it's a graphic novel. I do know that the graphic novel is a little bit darker. I really wish they would stop doing this. However, I understand why they did it with this one. Robert Downey Jr. and his wife are executive producers on the show.
Yep.
It is fucking fantastic. It's a great show to watch. It's a lot in the feels, but it's also really, really, really enjoyable. I can't get enough of it. So again, it was number 1 at least on Tuesday of the top 10. I love how the Netflix.
There's a lot of buzz surrounding the show.
It's a
social
great
media.
show. The storytelling, the acting, everything. It's a lot of emotion, but it's just a very well told story. So watch Sweet Tooth as soon as you can, please, on Netflix.
I'm not gonna lie, Blanco. When I first saw a show coming to Netflix called Sweet Tooth, I was like, oh my god, is Jaffe involved?
Yeah, first thing I think,
did they bring in David Jaffe? Are they doing a fucking spin-off of Sweet Tooth? Not that Sweet Tooth, which is kind of a missed opportunity, but I do want to check the show because, again, I've heard a lot of great things about this show.
It's fantastic, and yes, we would all love to know the background of Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal, but we only get bits and pieces in black.
I guess you could just watch any Saw movie and you'd have an understanding of where Sweet Tooth comes from.
Why not?
I mean, that's what I would expect.
Like a Spawn comic or something. But yeah, great show. Please watch it if you guys get a chance as well, for sure. Like I said, I've been absolutely enjoying it as well too. So yeah, I know that we're wrapping it up, and before I do that, I want to thank you as always, everybody, for coming through and being here with us for 2 hours or more, however long we go, week in, week out, or every other week, whenever you can make it, whether it's after on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, wherever you see us. Please, as always, do the best thing you can ever do for us, which is share us with somebody, anybody. Yes. Somebody in your family, a friend, whoever it could be that might enjoy our content, pop culture, movies, video games, or just us bullshitting, drinking, and hanging out with all of you. show them, let them know that, hey, I enjoy these folks, these dudes, whatever you want to call us. Just get us out there. We appreciate that. Those shares, likes, subs, everything you do, follows, anything on Twitter, if you're retweeting, that stuff is huge for us. We really appreciate you guys are awesome at that. And, anytime you can do that, it's like, gold for us. So, besides you guys being here as well.
Yeah. No, to have all of you guys here. Oh, thank you so much, Mullet. We appreciate that. For those of you that tune in every week, that you're here, you're sharing our stuff, whether you're listening on iTunes, if you're listening on Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're here live, your support is fucking incredible. Your support is invaluable. Your feedback is priceless. We can't thank you guys and girls enough. For those of you that are in the Discord, we love hanging out with you. We love talking to you. We love talking about life. I mean, that's the cool thing about the Discord is, when we hop on the show here, we talk about topics, we talk about TV, movies, games, but in the Discord, everyone can kind of just sit back, chit-chat, and have a good conversation. Discord's always a lot of fun. So we can't thank you guys and girls enough. It's been an incredible ride, 45 episodes in, and every week you guys show up and support us, and it hits us to the core, and we really appreciate your support.
Very humbling.
And we love you guys and girls very much, and we try to do the best we can. We want to make the best show. We want to make a welcoming community. We want to get you involved more. So, with that being said, next week we'll be discussing everything from E3. We want to hear from you. Whether you want to call into the show, we want to do more call-ins. We want to get you guys and girls' thoughts on the game reveals that are happening this week. If you don't want to call in, you don't have to call in. Download the Anchor app. That's where you can find our podcast. Send us a voice message. Talk about one of the games that you're excited about. Tell us why you're excited. We'll play that right here on the air. You don't have to talk to us. You have to call live if you're nervous. That's fine. If you want to chime in on YouTube, or if you want to send us a DM, whatever the fuck, email. You can email us, banterandbabble@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts on stuff. We want to bring you into the conversation. You are the only reason this show goes anywhere. Are y'all going to live stream any panels? I don't think we're going to live stream them. Sunday night, I don't know what your schedule's like. Maybe something regarding the Microsoft Bethesda one. That seems to be the biggest show. Depending.
Have your people contact my people.
I'll have my people call your people.
Fanboytone@lycos.com.
But Crash, if not, we will definitely be live next Wednesday, 9 p.m. right here on Twitch. We'll talk about everything that happened at E3, all the announcements, game reveals, anything else that might come to a surprise. We'll definitely be talking about it all next week. Movie-wise,
I got a request from somebody I know to watch this movie called The Platform on Netflix. Said it was a horror film. Anybody seen that out there? Kind of debating that one. Definitely kind of curious.
The platform.
So I don't know. We'll figure out what we're gonna want to watch. Don't watch The Conjuring 3. Absolutely correct on that, Miss Cannon. Thank you for bringing that up again.
The platform is that the one where there's multiple floors and food drops down between all the floors? Is that the one I'm thinking of? The platform? Because I watched that and it's fucked up.
If you're saying it's fucked up, that might be the one.
Yeah. The food go. Yeah. I've seen The Platform. It is a fucked up flick. It's a fucked up flick. I think you would really dig it.
All right, so I think we should throw that on there. So The Platform on Netflix next week. Let's get that going.
We'll talk about Ratchet and Clank. If you pick up Ratchet and Clank, we'll talk about that this weekend. I should hopefully have Resident Evil Village finished by next Wednesday, so I'll talk about that. If there's any other movies that drop between now, I gotta look to see what the releases are.
Right. I don't know
if any big movies are out, we will update the topics list in Discord. We'll let you guys and girls know what we're watching this weekend. But as of right now, you need to watch The Platform because that movie's fucking nuts. And then obviously Loki, Star Wars Bad Batch. We'll talk about Ratchet and Clank. And whatever the fuck else happens between now and then.
Well, if E3's beefy, might not be a lot of stuff
E3 is going to probably be
we might stick
a primary
with just
topic for next week's show.
Yeah.
It depends on what happens and how many reveals take place. We might be just video game-centric next week.
All right. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
So, for Fanboytone, I'm TheDude79. This has been another episode of Banter and Babble. We will see you next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch. Have a good week and enjoy E3. Be safe.
See you.